can we take it down? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, distinguished guests, our speakers, our partners, and members of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. My name is Adobe Onyedum, Director General, Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, and it's my great pleasure to welcome us here today. This morning, we're very privileged to host an exceptional lineup of speakers, thought leaders, practitioners who are not just shaping policy, but actively driving the system that enable trade to thrive, from aviation to logistics to standards to finance and also international advisory. Please, to guide us through this very important conversation, I'm going to be inviting on stage the chairman of the Export Committee, Mr. Fortune Udu, and he's going to be taking the role of the anchor for today's session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Adobe. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to NBCC. Good morning, Mr. President and the Chairman of Council, members of Council, our patrons, members of ESCO, our distinguished special guests, and keynote speakers, esteemed moderator, panelists, valued sponsors, partners, and captains of industry, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this edition of the Breakfast Meeting, April edition, that is coordinated by the British Group and the Export Group. This monthly gathering remains the cornerstone of our commitment to fostering high-level dialogue and driving economic synergy between Nigeria and United Kingdom. My name is Fortune Udu, and I'm the chairman of the Export Committee of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. And it is my distinct honor to serve today as your guide through today's proceeding. To formally commence our meeting, may I respectfully ask that you be upstanding for the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the United Kingdom.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Distinguished guests, today's theme of the breakfast meeting is UK-Nigerian Trade Corridor, Enhancing Bilateral Trade Flow, Connectivity, and Investment Mobility. The theme of today's breakfast meeting sits at the heart of the NBCC's mission. In the face of growing global trade uncertainty and economic volatility, realignment and strengthening of bilateral relationships are source of resilience. NBCC has over the years sought to keep the Nigerian-British trade corridor above the strife of global economic distress. This breakfast meeting presents another initiative by the Chamber to create an opportunity to strengthen corporate partnership, trade flow, bilateral and cross-border relationship, connectivity, export facilitation, and to remove investment barriers. Our hope is that our collective contribution at this meeting will form as a catalyst and pillar to this objective and for the prosperity of our two nations, people, and business. We are privileged to have a formidable lineup of leaders of thought who will dissect these issues from the policy, regulatory, operational, and private sector perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, as we commence, please permit me to acknowledge the presence of our President and Chairman of Council of Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, whose leadership continues to elevate the Chamber as the primary bridge for bilateral trade. Our host, Prince Abimbola Olashere, please can you come forward to give us your keynote address. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good morning. I'm not so sure I am able to give the keynote address for this morning. I can see quite a number of distinguished personalities here who can do a better job of a keynote. I'm not well versed in aviation, but I'll be very pleased to give a welcome address. First of all, my Deputy President, Akin Oshitoki Nnamdi Okonkwo. I can see our patron and past President, Asiwaju Michael Olawale Cole. Other council members, ESCO members, special guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You are indeed most welcome to today's breakfast meeting, which is under a very vital theme. I flew into Lagos yesterday night, and coming in and seeing the airport, especially the one that got burnt, and you keep on asking yourself, especially if you travel over the world, are there other things we could have done much better in this environment? And it's quite instructive that we are meeting this morning to have a deep dive at the issue of connectivity, for which the airport plays a very, very major area. So we are discussing UK-Nigeria trade corridors, enhancing bilateral trade flow, connectivity, and investment mobility. This theme sits at the very heart of our mission. In an increasingly interconnected global economy, the corridors between our two nations represent more than just routes of commerce. They are the lifelines of shared prosperity, innovation, and economic resilience. Our objective today is to explore how we can further streamline these pathways, improving the ease of moving goods, services, and capital. As a chamber, we recognize that to truly enhance these corridors, we must address the infrastructure of the connectivity and the fluidity of investment mobility. We are here to move beyond dialogue and towards actionable frameworks to strengthen the bridge between Nigerian enterprise and British markets. We are therefore very privileged to have an exceptional line of speakers to guide this conversation. I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker, Olubunmi Kuku, the Managing Director and CEO of Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, who is well and ably represented by Mr. Olaleko Thomas, Director of Cargo Development and Services, whose insights into aviation connectivity are crucial to our theme. Please, a round of applause, please. We are also quite honored to have with us a special guest, Honorable Omo Anabo, the Commissioner for Business, Trade and Investment of Edo State. Please, you are most welcome, sir. My thanks also go to our moderator, Mr. Tayo Ojuri of Aglo Aviation Support, and our diverse panel of experts, Dr. Chinedu Zephaniah of Zenith Bank, Carolina Tenza Enli Partners, Chioma Chudi Anaku of Standard Organization of Nigeria, Mr. Odiri Erewa Megison of British America Tobacco, Remy Jibowo of Bicotany Aviation, Dr. Alban Igwe, UN Advisory Group, and Donald Adekunle of SACO. Please, a round of applause to all these distinguished members who are here. Your collective expertise is the engine of today's discourse. Of course, we'd like to express our profound appreciation to our valued sponsors, whose generous support has made this event possible. Enli and Partners, Zenith Bank, British Airways, and British America Tobacco. Your commitment to the Chamber demonstrates a shared belief in the power of bilateral cooperation to drive national growth. I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to the Export and British Business Committees, ably led by Mr. Fortune Idu. Where is Fortune? There he is. Thank you very much for what you're doing. And Mrs. Tutu Otuyalo, I've not seen her, as well as the headquarters team for their dedication and tireless effort in putting this important event together. Sometimes we come and spend 2-3 hours, but people never see the sleepless hours that has gone in putting this kind of event together. So it's really on behalf of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. I thank you all for joining us this morning. I encourage you to engage actively, network across these corridors, and live with partnerships necessary to translate today's insights into tangible trade success. Once again, good morning, and you're most welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our president for this wonderful welcome address that touches everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right. As a breakfast meeting, we will try as much as we can to keep it breakfast. Okay? So we will manage time properly and make everything has to be, precise to time as planned. To continue with this process, it is my honor to welcome among us a distinguished special guest who has come from the land that has historic connections to United Kingdom, the great Benin Empire. Please welcome now the great Benin Empire, now Edo State. Okay, so please welcome to the podium our special guest, the Commissioner of Business, Trade and Investment of Edo State, Honorable Omo Anabo, to give us a goodwill message. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Edo State Government, under the leadership of Senator Monde Okpewolu, through the Ministry of Business, Trade and Investment, I extend a warm greetings to the President and Council, Chairman of Council, Prince Abibola Olashirin, and also to the leadership and members of Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and all participants in this April breakfast meeting, Team UK-Nigeria Trade Corridors, enhancing bilateral trade flow, connectivity, and investment mobility. We commend the Nigeria-British Chambers of Commerce for its sustained commitment to strengthen economic ties between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, and providing a platform that fosters meaningful dialogue, strategic partnership, and practical solutions to enhance trade flows. In Edo State, we are deliberately aligning our economic strategy with these objectives of this team. We continue to drive reforms that improve the ease of doing business, strengthening investors' confidence, and promotion of Edo as a competitive destination of trade and investment. A key focus for us is promoting value addition and building global competitive products. In this regard, we are strengthening the Made in Edo Goods initiative to establish a strong identity of product that meet international standards that compete effectively in global markets. Central to this effort is the development of Edo Packaging Hub, which will serve as a central facility, provides standardized packaging, labeling, branding, quality control, and certification support. This initiative is designed to help exporters meet global requirements, significantly reduce product rejection rates, and enhance overall product value and market acceptance. Importantly, it will also empower small and medium-scale enterprises by providing access to affordable, high-quality packaging solutions. Beyond production and packaging, we are actively improving export processing by simplifying procedures, strengthening institutional coordinations, and equipping businesses with knowledge and tools required to succeed in international markets. We are equally focused on enhancing logistics and connectivity. Edo State government is employing an innovative channel, including regional aviation corridor, to facilitate the movement of time-sensitive and high-value exports, ensuring that our businesses can compete effectively in fast-paced global supply chain. In addition, Edo State recognizes the importance of industrial revival as a key driver of economic growth and trade expansion. The state is well positioned to stimulate industrial resurgence by resuscitating the moribund industries, such as the bedded brewery, Edo pharmaceutical industry, and the flour mill and the agro businesses in Edo State. And alongside with other dominant or the permit assets, including the popular advancement company and Edo Textile Mill, by leveraging private set partner mobilization and market-driven strategy, this legacy industry can be repositioned to support manufacturing, boost exports, create jobs, and strengthen Edo contribution to Nigeria bilateral ecosystem. In line with the broader continental opportunity, we are aligning our strategy with frameworks such as the African Continental Free Trade Area to expand access to regional and international markets, while creating a pathway for trade integrations. Edo State remain open and actively seeking partners with investors, development partners, financial institutions, and global trade network. We believe that collaboration is essential to unlocking the full protections of subnational economics in driving bilateral and multinational trade. Our strategy is clear: to promote value addition, strengthen Made in Edo brand, improve packaging and quality standard, enhance logistics and connectivity, revive key industries, and build strong, sustainable partnerships that will drive inclusive economic growth. As a global trade continues to evolve, initiatives like this breakfast meetings are critical in shaping the future of UK and Nigeria economic relations. We encourage all stakeholders to explore the vast opportunity within Edo State and to partner with us in building resilience and mutually beneficial trade corridor. Once again, I want to commend the Nigerian-British Chambers of Commerce for this important initiative, and I wish you all a productive and a party session. Thank you, and God be with you.
Thank you very much. Please put a big round of applause for our commissioner, the Commissioner of Edo State, Honorable Omo Anabo. Thank you very much for this beautiful presentation, a very good highlight of the state. NBCC, Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, is a non-governmental and non-profit organization that brings people from all walks of life together. And this distinct group of people help to provide opportunities for training, exploitation of ideas, and cross-fertilization of thoughts, and also serves as advocacy for development in the country. This group, this morning, for the program you are having today, is made possible by the special contribution and support and sponsorship of some members of the British Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to mention and express sincere gratitude to their sponsorship of this program, which has made it possible for us to offer the delegates participation free. Please, if you permit me to put a round of applause to Henley and Partners for their contribution and sponsorship. Zenith Bank for their contribution and sponsorship. British Airways for their contribution and sponsorship. And then British American Tobacco for their contribution and sponsorship. If you permit me, just 2 minutes, we would like to have a video of 2 of our sponsors.
As someone who flies regularly, we wanted to enlighten you about On Business, the free-to-join loyalty program that's saving companies of all sizes money on flights. On Business offers your company the option to earn points on flights for future savings, or get an immediate discount on many flights across the British Airways, Iberia, and American Airlines global network. Everyone who flies can also earn Avios, which can be redeemed for personal travel. And all On Business members will receive exclusive offers and rewards. To sign up now and receive a triple points welcome bonus, visit ba.com/onbusiness.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our sponsors. Okay, proceeding with the program, the highlight of this breakfast meeting is on a keynote address that will lead to discussion by our panelists. For the keynote address, ladies and gentlemen, the breakfast meeting is a collaboration between Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce Export Group and the British Business Group. These two committees has chosen a subject that is focused on improving trade and bilateral relationships. We have 2 panels. One, a panel on aviation and trade infrastructure for growth, which is focused on movement of goods, aviation systems, and logistic efficiency. And the second panel is policy, finance, and investment mobility, which is focused on financial system, regulation, and movement of capital. This morning, I would like to call to the podium a distinguished invited guest who is going to give us a keynote address. And the keynote address will support the discussion which will be held by the panelists. To give us the keynote address is the Managing Director and CEO of the Federal Port Authority of Nigeria, FAN, the airport group that manages about 23 airports under its management and is among the 10 leading airport contributors to global, African airport leading contributors to global passenger traffic. FAN wants to optimize cargo as the next revenue driver of its airport economies. The managing director, Mrs. Olubumi Kuku, is here represented by the Director of Cargo and Services, Mr. Olalekon Thomas, who will give us a keynote address. To guide in this discussion will be Mr. Tayo Ojuri, a moderator who is from Aglo, who is the managing partner of Aglo Air, a dedicated cargo airline focused on providing secure and reliable flight operations across Nigeria and West Africa. He has 3 decades experience spanning in 3 continents. Tayo recognized authority in aviation management. He holds a master's degree in airport planning and management from Cranfield University. He's a certified member of American Association of Airport Executives and a member of Chartered Institute of Logistics. He is an expert in ORAT, Operation Readiness, Activation, Transition, and he is a fervent advocate of catalysts for economic growth within the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like at this point to call on our keynote speaker to give us a keynote while we prepare the moderator to take over for moderation of the program. But before then, I also like to highlight who the panelists are to save time. Mr. Hyacinth Wungu, one of the panelists, is the General Manager, Business Development of the Federal Airports Authority. Mr. Remy Jibodu, Acting CEO, Aeronautic and Cargo Services by Courtney. Dr. Aban Igwe, member of the Transport, a consultant with the United Nations Advisory Group, and Mr. Donald Adekunle, GM Cargo Services, Sakor. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce and bring to stage the representative of the Federal, Managing Director of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, Mr. Lekon. Please come to the stage to give a keynote address.
Thank you very much. How are you? Good morning. The President, Chairman of the Council of Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on existing protocol. But before I start, Mr. President, I saw this BAT advert, A Better Tomorrow. We are committed to building a smokeless world. I think I'll have a chat with you about having this smokeless world later on from BAT. Anyway, good morning once again. Let me start by speaking directly to the theme of this session, improving export facilitation through the aviation corridors, with a focus on Nigeria-UK trade. Over the next 25 minutes, I will address some of the most important issues, solutions standing between us, and a truly efficient Nigeria-UK trade corridor. But let me be honest with you. With the time allotted, we cannot cover everything. To do justice to this topic, we probably need a couple of days, several cups of coffee, and biscuits. So I think of this as a highlights reel, not the full documentary. I will give you the diagnosis, the prescription, and the action plan. The rest, the technical deep dives, the war stories, we can save for the working group, which I will request the Chamber to establish later on. So consider this keynote as your strategic briefing, a 30,000-foot view of where we are, where we need to go, and the investments and policies required to get there. Following this keynote discussions can deep dive into specific mechanics, infrastructure, airline routes, agency coordination, logistics, and export readiness. So let's prepare for our cargo flight. The paradox of empty planes. Let me open with a simple but troubling image. Every night, cargo aircraft departs London Heathrow, Amsterdam Schiphol, and Dubai International. Full. They arrive in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. They offload machinery parts, pharmaceuticals, and consumer goods worth billions. And then, too often, they depart back to Europe, half empty. This is not an airline problem. It's a Nigerian paradox. We have the demand, the products, and the trade agreements. What we lack is a system that moves Nigerian exports from farm to foreign market with the speed, quality, skill, and reliability that international buyers demand. Today, I'll give an honest assessment of where we stand, what FAN is doing, and how the Nigerian-UK corridor can become the most efficient trade artery between Africa and Europe. The opportunity. These are numbers we cannot ignore. According to the UK Department for Business and Trade, March 2026, total UK-Nigerian trade reached 8.1 billion in the fourth quarter to Q3 2025, up 11.4% year-on-year. UK imports from Nigeria stood at 2.4 billion. The UK is also our largest source of capital inflows, $2.94 billion. All this is in dollars. In Q3 2025, nearly 49% of all capital inflows imported. 49%. That's quite a substantial sum. The Honorable Minister of Industry and Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, noted that a modest 1 to 5% increase in exports to the UK could generate an additional $25 to $125 million in export revenue. This is a calculation, not a dream. But I ask you, why only 1 to 5%? Why not 20 or 25%? Demand is not the issue. In July 2025, the UK announced that over 3,000 Nigerian products, cocoa, cashew, textiles, etc., can now enter the UK duty-free or at reduced tariffs under the DCT, that's Developing Countries Trading Scheme. So the UK has opened its market. The question is whether Nigeria is ready to sell consistently, competitively, and at scale. Let me add a recent development that underscores the priority this administration places on the UK-Nigerian aviation corridor. Just yesterday, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Chief of Staff, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, and the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, Mr. Festus Keyamo, SAN, received a delegation from British Airways at the Presidential Villa, led by the British High Commissioner, Dr. Richard Montgomery, and the British Airways Commercial Officer, Mr. Colm Lacey. The President reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to strengthening economic cooperation with the United Kingdom, with particular emphasis on aviation. He also disclosed that his administration has resolved outstanding financial obligations owed to international airlines through the central bank. This is not a small detail. For years, trapped funds eroded confidence among foreign carriers. That confidence is now being restored. The president's message was clear. Nigeria is reforming its aviation sector to meet international standards, and the UK remains a strategic partner in that journey. British Airways is celebrating 90 years of operations in Nigeria, a testament to the depth and resilience of this corridor, as Ms. Lacey stated. Nigeria is not just a destination for us, it's a valued partner. So when I speak of fixing our export facilitation systems, I do so with the full backing of the highest office in the land. So let's get back on track. Why Nigeria is fifth in African air cargo? This is an honest diagnosis. Nigeria is Africa's largest economy, with a Q25 trade surplus of 6.69 trillion naira and total exports of 22.8 trillion naira. Yet, in air cargo, we rank fifth on the continent, behind Ethiopia, Kenya, South Africa, and even Ghana, with no disrespect with using the word even. Let that sink in. Ghana, with 1/10 of our population, has a more efficient air cargo export system. Why? The FAN Aviation Cargo Committee, which I had the privilege of leading, conducted extensive domestic and international assessments. Some of our findings I'll share with you. Infrastructural deficit, I'm sure most are aware of that. There's critical shortage of cold chain, modern cargo facilities, fit-for-purpose screening equipment, and indeed purpose-built warehouses. The manual processes. Clearance takes hours or days. In Kenya, approximately about 15 minutes. Regulatory chaos. Approximately 24 separate charges identified by the committee, of which only 6 are legal. Lack of standardization. Billion lost annually to non-certified and non-tracked agricultural produce. Siloed agencies. Exporters run from desk to desk, while the perishable goods lose value by the hour. And the 6th gap, the one I call the missing middle. The missing middle, the aggregation centers and the private sector. The aviation corridor begins long before cargo is loaded onto an aircraft. It begins at the farm gate. Between millions of smallholder farmers and the airport cargo hold lies a gap. Most farmers cannot produce the volume, afford the certification, or manage the documentation that a UK buyer requires. Aggregation centers provide an important answer. These are private-led ecosystems where produce from hundreds or thousands of smallholder farmers are brought together, sorted, graded, tested, processed, packaged, and ready for export. They create volume from fragmented supply and ensure traceability from the individual farm to the final buyer. This cannot be government. FAN is not a farm aggregator. The solution lies in the PPP, experienced logistics firm, coaching specialists. They bring capital. They bring technical expertise. They bring market intelligence. They bring compliance systems. In Kenya, this model works. Producer associations and private aggregators work hand in hand with KEFIS to ensure that every carton of French beans or avocados leaving Nairobi meets European Union standards. The government audits, the private sector executes. In Senegal, the new Blaise International Airport is constructing a freight terminal capable of handling 80,000 tons of cargo annually, with specialized infrastructure for perishables and pharmaceutical goods, all under a PPP model that integrates air, rail, and a new deep seaport operationally by 2028. Where will Nigeria produce go when Senegal offers a seamless cold chain? We need the middleman with sincerity of purpose, not the predatory agent, but the value-adding aggregator who invests, trains, and certifies. The NBCC is also well positioned to identify and partner with such aggregators. Let me give you an analogy on this. The airport security line. Let me offer, I think everybody in this room will understand from personal experience. Imagine you're an exporter with a consignment of fresh ginger bound for London. At a competitive airport, let's say Nairobi, you walk up to a single desk, submit your document once, your pre-certified goods are scanned, and you're done in roughly 15 to 20 minutes. Now imagine doing the same in Nigeria today. You queue at customs, then at quarantine, then maybe at NAFDAC or SUN, and then the ground handlers, and then the bank to pay, sometimes an unofficial charge. Your ginger loses shelf life. Your buyer grows impatient. This is similar to what we have today. Multiple queues, multiple inspections, multiple documents and fees. Only, like I said, 6, of which 6 are legal. Some of our competitors have a fast track. We are still asking our exporters to run an obstacle course. The National Single Window, Mr. Tola Fakolodi, which the project director, who I believe was here before me, would have provided you a deeper dive into the value of the National Single Window and what it provides. The NSW and aggregator center model are not just about technology or infrastructure. They are tearing down the extra counters, creating one seamless digital trusted system where certified exporters walk straight through. No more unpacking, repacking. No more missing flights. No more value circling in a maze of manual processes. This is the future FAN is building. Across the globe, air cargo is stabilizing. But in Africa, according to a recent analysis, it is accelerating and starting to redefine the industry's future. Fresh produce heading to Europe, pharmaceuticals moving across regions, e-commerce parcels flowing into rapidly growing cities. It is becoming harder to ignore. Globally, air cargo markets has entered a phase of stabilization. According to IATA, demand has continued to show resilience into 2026, supported by improving economic conditions and the gradual normalization of supply chains. I don't think we've factored the Iran or the Strait of Hormuz yet into things, but we'll see how that goes. In Africa, however, this is not simply a recovery cycle. It is a structural expansion. Agricultural exports remain a cornerstone. Pharmaceuticals continue to demand speed and reliability. And increasingly, trade with partners like the United Kingdom is taking shape in more meaningful ways. One of the defining characteristics of 2026 has been increased attention to cargo infrastructure. Across multiple markets, investments are being directed towards cargo terminals, cold chain capabilities, and digital tracking systems. This development signals a growing recognition that cargo cannot continue to operate as a secondary extension to passenger infrastructure. Yet, despite this progress, underlying constraints remain. The persistence of ground handling inefficiencies, fragmented operational processes, and inconsistent custom procedures is structural. Many airports across the continent were originally designed for passenger traffic with cargo infrastructure added incrementally rather than strategically. This has resulted in systems that are not fully integrated, where multiple stakeholders operate in silos with limited coordination. As the ADB, African Development Bank, mentioned, that Africa's infrastructure gap is not just about capacity, but about connectivity and efficiency. Nowhere is this more evident than in air cargo, where inefficiencies on the ground can outweigh the efficiencies in the air. But here is a key difference in 2026. Mindsets are changing. Cargo is no longer being viewed as a secondary, opportunistic revenue stream. It is increasingly positioned as a core component of aviation strategy. Ethiopian Airlines continues to set the benchmark, having built a cargo operation fully integrated into its broader network strategy. Its continued investment in dedicated freighters and logistics infrastructure reflects long-term view of cargo as a strategic asset. As the airline stated, cargo is not just a business line. It is a pillar of connectivity and trade. What is different now is that this perspective is beginning to resonate more widely in markets where passenger yields remain volatile. Cargo is emerging as a stabilizing force within the airline business models. For the UK-Nigeria corridor, this is our moment. The UK is a high-value market for perishables, pharmaceuticals, and e-commerce. The infrastructure investments we are making at FAN, new cargo terminals, cold chain, digital systems, are designed precisely to capture this opportunity. Let me talk quickly a bit about the National Single Window again, where FAN sits on the steering committee. This is a fundamental re-engineering of how trade and data moves between government agencies, exporters, and international buyers. Under the single window, an exporter submits information once, and all authorized agencies access verified data in real time. For the UK corridor, the single window enables pre-clearance of export documentation before goods arrive at the airport, digital phytosanitary. I always struggle with this word. Phytosanitary. Digital phytosanitary certificates recognized by UK authorities, transparent costs, and reduced cargo dwell time. End-to-end tracking from aggregation center to the final delivery. But the National Single Window will only succeed. I repeat that. The National Single Window will only succeed if all stakeholders clamor for it loudly, publicly, and persistently. Government faces bureaucratic inertia and resistance from those who benefit from opacity. Here is my specific ask to the NBCC. To write formally to the Presidency, the Office of the Chief of Staff, and the Federal Ministry of Trade and Industry and Investment, demanding a firm implementation timeline for the single window. I'm sure maybe they may have provided you that. Use your bilateral channels with the British Chamber of Commerce and the UK Department for Business and Trade to bring technical assistance. The UK single trade window is one of the world's most efficient systems. There's expertise out there they can also lean on. Make the national single window compliance a condition for your members' access to trade facilitation services. If an exporter or agent is not using the digital platform, they should not receive any preferential treatments. Publicly call out delays. The Chamber has the moral authority. We can use it. The national single window is not a technical project. It is a political and commercial imperative. Let me repeat that again. It is a political and commercial imperative. The NBCC can be the difference between a platform that exists and one that works. Let me focus directly on the Nigerian-UK trade lane for a bit here. Perishables. The UK imports over 130 tons of fresh produce annually from Africa by air. Swissport has just opened a 2,694 square meter temperature control facility at London Heathrow. It's first in the UK. They are investing in cold chain infrastructure, scaling up for perishables. The question is, will Nigerian produce, aggregated, certified, and properly handled, fill that space? Pharmaceuticals and healthcare logistics. Nigeria's growing pharmaceutical and manufacturing sector can serve the UK, but only with certified handling processes and unbroken cold chain. The rise of e-commerce across Africa has been driven by increasing internet penetration, widespread mobile adoption, and a rapidly expanding urban middle class. I think we saw what Henley and partners showed, some of the data. This shift creates new logistical requirements, and traditional supply chains were not designed to handle. E-commerce thrives on reliability, short delivery timelines, which places pressure on transport networks to become faster and more predictable. Air cargo becomes a critical component. Lagos and Johannesburg are Africa's largest redistribution markets. UK-based e-commerce platforms are looking for reliable supply lines from Nigeria. Manufactured goods and solid minerals, Q4 2025, saw solid mineral exports rise by 92.48% year-on-year. Streamlined air cargo can accelerate this further. Let me share a lesson whilst we talk about the tidbits on trade. Let me share something from the CBN quickly before I outline FAN's agenda. Speaking on the Nigerian-China currency swap deal, the CBN governor's representative, Mr. Tony Ogunferi, noted that the primary concern is Nigerian persistent trade imbalance, where we import far more than we export to a major partner. In 2023, Nigeria exported only $2.51 billion to China. I'll repeat that. Nigeria exported $2.51 billion to China, while importing $20 billion. We must not replicate that imbalance with the United Kingdom. The DCTS gives us preferential access, but without systems to export at scale, aggregation centers, cold chain, single window, airport infrastructure, we will remain a net importer from the UK, not a competitive exporter. The currency swap deal with China reduced transaction costs and has freed up dollar reserves. We will need similar financial innovations for the UK corridor. But first, we need products to sell. So, I'm not here to only diagnose. I'm here to report on some of our actions. The Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo-San, has led the initial charge by elevating what was a small department into a dedicated Cargo Development and Services Directorate at FAN. This is indeed our first call to action on the seriousness on trade facilitation. Under the visionary leadership of our Managing Director and Chief Executive, Mrs. Olubunmi Kuku, we are implementing a comprehensive reform agenda built on DCDS audit. DCDS is Directorate of Cargo Development and Services audit, the Avia Cargo Committee findings, and indeed her vision. 1, infrastructure transformation. We're expanding and modernizing and equipping existing international cargo warehouses in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt. There are plans afoot for new cargo villages with dedicated facilities, packaging, testing laboratories, aggregation centers in Lagos and Abuja. We have resuscitated, for want of a better word, the Moi-bound domestic terminals in Lagos and is now fully operational. We're going to replicate such in Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt, bearing in mind efficient domestic cargo throughput also feeds international cargo. So the movement of domestic goods also assists with international cargo. So apron expansion and airside upgrades to handle wide-body freighters. We're exploring PPP models with state governments. We're in, I think, probably about 5 or 6 that comes to mind, state governments who we're discussing with on the different PPP models. I'm sure you must have heard most of the states are now going into development of airports, et cetera, So there's quite a number of them out there. Discussions on monorail terminations with CCE and some other, if you like, would-be partners on monorail to terminate at all cargo terminals to improve logistics for cargo agents and whoever wants to go to a cargo terminal. Digital transformation. Alongside the single window, we're developing a cargo community system. The goal, to less than 30 minutes processing for known shippers, down from the current maybe hours, days, and with plans for PLACI, which is preloading advanced cargo information, basically getting to know what cargo is coming into your country before it leaves the destination. You have all the information. So the customs or the security agencies can say, load the cargo or do not load it in London before it gets here. Because when it now gets here, what they now do is now the physical checks, delaying it, and all that. You have some sort of mitigation exercises at the point of departure, if you like. Next phase, we're targeting increased cargo processing. Well, sorry, I think I mentioned that. So number 3, attracting dedicated freighter airlines. We incentive frameworks, discounted landing and parking charges, volume-based rebates for cargo airlines. These are the things we're looking at FAN. And we're actively engaging with global carriers and logistic firms. When the panel sits, I think the GM will do justice to some of this. So there'll be deeper dives into what we're doing about route development as well. The absence of sufficient direct freighter connectivity to the UK regional hubs, East Midlands and Manchester, is also a gap to also consider on our roadmap. Stakeholder integration. We're working with all stakeholders who operate within the cargo terminals on SLEs, SOPs, and MOUs. We're working with all agencies also on training requirements to function effectively at our airports, NCAA, NCS, and CRIFN. So working within any cargo terminal, at least have a minimum training of what you're meant to be doing there. 5, regulatory harmonization. There are 24 charges, of which only 6 will become more transparent, predictable, with the advent of the single window. This will help mitigate some of these charges that people might not be aware, because everything becomes transparent. Regional hub development, the hub and spoke model. Lagos and Abuja as dual cargo hubs, and we can scale for UK trade. And feed from secondary airports such as Kanu, Port Harcourt, Enugu, and Jos, Nasarawa, Owerri, Ebonyi, and Ogun State. We're talking with SEZs, Special Economic Zones operators as well, how we can link airports with them, and agro-processing clusters to enable farm-to-flight corridors. We're in final stage discussions with some of the states like Owerri, where the stalled cargo warehouse is now being activated. The list goes on. So investment opportunity for the NBCC. Distinguished members, let me speak directly to the business community. The airport ecosystem presents significant investment opportunities that remain largely untapped. 2 opportunities come to mind. First, aggregation centers, like I mentioned earlier on. The NBCC could facilitate a PPP aggregation center pilot in the northwest, north central, southwest, and southeast. British-Nigerian joint ventures to design, fund, and operate these centers with technical assistance from the UK agribusiness firms. Second, farm development and yield strategies. PPP owners should not be passive buyers. They should actively assist farmers with improved seedling distribution, training in GAP, good agricultural practices, pre-harvest and post-harvest extension services, certification support. The cost of these services is recovered through higher quality exports. The NBCC, with over 400 member organizations and access to 53 British Chambers of Commerce and 71 international affiliates worldwide, is uniquely positioned for this. So let me round up. I will not leave this podium without specific actionable recommendations. To the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, to establish a working group on air cargo facilitation and aggregation, bring together exporters, airlines, ground handlers, regulators, logistic providers, and potential aggregation center investors to meet quarterly to identify bottlenecks and pilot solutions. Lean your full weight behind the national single window, as detailed earlier. Develop a directory of UK importers seeking Nigerian produce or products with clear specifications, size, moisture content, packaging, certification requirements. Share this with aggregation centers, exporters, and on your website. To the Nigerian exporters, invest in quality and traceability. Regulatory agencies continue to adopt digitalization agenda, PLASIF, like I said. And for the federal government, it will sustain and deepen the policy environment. To our British partners, work with us on capacity building, not just in infrastructure, but in aggregation techniques, farm-level yields, and market access requirements. You have expanded access to your market. Helping us meet your standards is the next logical step. On that note, let me thank the President, the NBCC, for having me. And on behalf of the MDC, I thank you all. And we look forward to happy deliberations later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My hand. Shake me. Thank you very much. Very wonderful speech and presentation. Thank you very much. I can assure you that, with the permission of the President, to tell you that MBCC, as an advocacy group, will take the points and, of course, will relate that to the highest level of interaction. And MBCC has enough resources also, both local and in UK, that can also work with the Federal Airports Authority to actualize this ambition. Thank you very much. To align with this presentation you have made, we have a short goodwill message from the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, which will be presented by Architect Benedict Itegbe. Please, Architect Benedict Itegbe, if you are here, please come up to give us a short goodwill message. He is the regional coordinator of Southwest of Nigerian Export Promotion Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Architect Benedict Itegbe. I am the regional coordinator, Nigerian Export Promotion Council for the Southwest. And we are delighted to have been invited to this auspicious breakfast meeting. I am here representing the ED CEO of Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Mrs. Noya Ayeni, who is unavoidably absent, and she has requested that I deliver this goodwill message on her behalf. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm deeply honored to join you at this breakfast table at this conversation. The Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce has for over 47 years served as the institutional architecture of a bilateral relationship between our great countries. Let me frame the conversation of our economic paradigm towards value-added, export-led fiscal consolidation, not as an aspiration, but with verified facts. In 2025, Nigeria's formal non-oil exports achieved what many once doubted was achievable in a single year. We recorded formal exports of 6.1 billion in receipts, the highest formally documented non-oil export value in the history of the country, and since the establishment of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. We exported 281 distinct products, reaching 120 countries. Our shipment volume grew by over 10% to 8 million metric tons. I say this to establish a baseline for an emerging trade trajectory. The question before us today is not whether Nigeria is investable for this bilateral platform. The question is whether the architecture of our bilateral trade relationship with the UK is repositioning enough to be a frontline beneficiary that it deserves to be. Let us begin where the greatest, most immediate, and most underutilized opportunity lies, the UK DCTS. Cocoa and cocoa products, sesame seeds, cashew nuts, fertilizers, petrochemicals, seafood, fresh and vegetables and fruits. These are all export potentials. And they are the backbone of Nigeria's historic 2025 performance. And they all sit squarely within the DCTS preference schedule. The honest truth is Nigeria's exports are not yet capturing the full potential of the DCTS preferences. The constraints are known and addressable. Product quality, packaging standards, sanitary and phytosanitary compliance, and awareness among small and medium businesses. This is precisely where the UK-Nigerian Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership, the ETIP, has a mandate to act, where the business community in this room on both sides of the Atlantic has a role to play that government policy alone cannot fulfill. Therefore, I call on the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce in partnership with NEPC to establish a dedicated DCTS export readiness accelerator framework, a structured industry-led program that takes Nigerian exporters from awareness of the scheme to verified market entry with UK business mentorship, buyer matching, capacity building for standards and quality assurance. The Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce has been convening trade platforms for decades. The UK-Nigeria Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership provides a formal architecture to bridge the gap in our bilateral trade opportunities. What we need now is not more architecture. What we need now is more throughput, more Nigerian products reaching UK shelves, more British investments flowing into Nigerian export infrastructure, more bilateral transactions closing between the corridors, opening up finance, and strengthening the regulatory framework on both sides. While looking forward to our future public-private partnerships to harness these mutually beneficial opportunities, I indeed wish you all a rewarding and fruitful engagement. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria, and God bless the United Kingdom. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so he calls for greater collaboration with NBCC, and we are going to take it up. So NBCC is a bridge between the regulator, the facilitator, and those farmers and producers of exports. We have a responsibility. At this point, I would like to go to the area and subjects that you are all here for. This is the moment we've been waiting for to proceed to the panel discussion. I would like to call to the podium our distinguished panelists, and the seats are here, and they can come in and we can begin our discussion. We have 40 minutes for this deliberation, and so we will encourage you to go straight to the point. And we have our moderator. I will hand that over to you. But first, Mr. Hyacinth Ngu, the General Manager, Business Development, Federal Airport Authority. Please, can you come up to the podium? Yeah, over there. Yeah. Up. Sorry. Thank you. Mr. Remy Jibodu, the CEO, and then Head Aeronautic and Cargo Services by Courtney. Please come to the podium. Dr. Aban Igwe, please come to the podium, please. And Mr. Donald Adekunle, General Manager, Cargo, please come to the podium. No, over here, please. Thank you. And to moderate this session, Mr. Tayo Ojuri, please kindly come to the podium and take over from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, or rather good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to move this so I'm not... I prefer standing as well. Sorry. There's another paper. Thank you very much. We have a short time span this morning, but buttressing what the FAN MD, ably represented by the Director of Cargo, said, it's data that is available at this time. There's 2 million tons of cargo between Nigeria and UK. and this is IATA data. And just to buttress what he said as well, between Lagos and UK is the most profitable cargo route in Nigeria. The challenge with cargo that we have is that empty or half empty plane. Cargo is very omnidirectional. We are not a manufacturing country yet. So what we see is cargo coming in and we're half empty going out. But what we should now leverage on, which he highlighted, was what put the first or best foot forward. What we have is agriculture. Let's leverage on agriculture. Let's leverage on what we have. We don't have the manufacturing. So let's take advantage of what you call the healthy foods, the jutes, the ewedu that we take for granted here. And we just ask for extra when we go to Amala joint. We can send it out and still eat it with Amala and Gbegiri. We have, like the NEPC man said, cashew, sesame seed, ugu, the pear. All these things can be sent out fresh. But in addition to that, they can actually be value added. With the value addition brings more money. Not only to UK. UK is an island. We can actually now go to mainland Europe from there. I think what's happening globally is actually going to shift the focus, not from the street, but to Nigeria and Africa. And we're not reinventing the wheel. Like it's been said, we have 24 cargo flights going out of Nairobi daily. 24. What they've done is backward integration. So don't let us just come here, have breakfast, talk, have a talk shop, but let's take something home. We'll have the Brits come here, give us the information, we have the farm, we get the standardized product, we plant it, and we send it. Before I go to the panel, data that is available every day for 6 days a week. Fan is here. On the shelf of Marks & Spencer, pineapples go from Cotonou to Marks & Spencer every day through Lagos. Why can't it come from Benin? Edo has plantain. They have pineapple. But the challenge is the standardization. The first set of pineapples are really good. The next ones are half done or they're spoiled. So let's talk about this in depth and how we can make this thing seamless and not just come and talk. Most of us are calculating towards retirement now. So let's quickly make this work for the next generation. And to discuss further, we have the panelists. They say to go far, you need people. We have the expert, the resource people. I have their bios where strands for time. We have Mr. Ungu, Mr. Remi Jibodu, Mr. Alban Igwe, and Mr. Donald. I know, we've come a long way, and he warned me. First question. Fan. I know Mr. Leke Thomas has talked about all the things you're implementing and all the things. Briefly, talk to us about what Fan's perspective, how can Nigeria strengthen aviation connectivity and airport system to support more efficient and globally competitive export flows within the UK-Nigerian corridor? Briefly, please.
Well, thank you. That's the infrastructure development. And like my director ably stated, FAN has done so much in that respect. Currently at the Abuja airport, we've commissioned the building of the second runway, and that exactly will help us getting more bigger aircrafts into Nigeria from foreign countries. Again, like he said, we've also done much in the area of agro processing warehouses. What FAN is doing now is partnering with credible private sector to build value chain in terms of warehouses, temperature control warehouses that can help us build and export more valuable produce. But most importantly, we need the farms. So the starting point should be to have a registered farms that will need government regulations and support so that they produce fit for export. Once we have that market, once we have that supplies, the market is always there. And when the market is there, of course, the infrastructure which is already there can be improved upon, and we have that connectivity.
Thank you very much. You did mention that we need the farms. Yes, we need the farms. The private sector is key. NBCC, please note, the lobbying part of it, if it's just working with EPZs to have farmlands, and it's not about toiling the land now. It's all about mechanized farming, precision farming, drone farming. We're able to produce more with standardized feed. And the other thing is, before we even send to the UK, it's actually election time in Nigeria. People will say there's hunger in the land. Or some people tend to say there's lots of challenges. So what we need to look at it, before we even send it to UK, I have Mr. Remy Jibodu, this acting CEO of MM2. We're here. They've done so many great things within the Nigerian cargo ecosystem. I'll let him talk more about that, but I have a question for him. Cold chain infrastructure remains a major gap for Nigeria's agricultural and pharmaceutical exports. What investment is Biocotney taking in temperature control cargo facilities at MM2?
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so in terms of the cold chain, is a necessary enabler for us to be able to ensure that what we have is well transported in good way, especially when you mentioned the issue of vegetables in Nigeria, which is one of those things that we can leverage on. Before I go into that, I'll give a classic example. I have a friend just about a couple of days ago, and just look around in the UK and said that there is what we call atarodo, which is pepper in Nigeria. It's scarce in the market. Everywhere in the UK you cannot find. And he decided that let me purchase in Nigeria, and did almost about 50 cartons just last week. But from the farm down to the airport, it wasted some days, about 2-3 days. The cold chain facility, I'm not sure is very controlled because it was blocked. By the time it got to UK, the bottom line is that it lost almost about 5 million. Everything perished by the time it got to the UK. Now, the demand is there. You want to connect the supply. But what is in between, which is the cold chain I'm talking about, that you must have digital cold chain for you to be able to have precise temperature control for very kinds of vegetables. And that has to be extended not only at the airport, but also taken to the farms, to the warehouse, and also down to the airport. So these are the connections that has to happen for us. But in terms of MMA2, what we've done basically is that we realized that in domestic airports in Nigeria, we have not seen a digital cold storage. And we know that we have a lot of movement of transit product that comes at night, cannot go, and we also have the one that arrives and can also go. And this is discouraging people from sending like perishable things. So we decided to invest in that and have the fridge and the freezer, which is precision temperature controlled. So you can have different things that we can actually set the control to almost about minus 25 to whatever that you want. It is convertible, both freezer and fridge. So basically for us is that we need all of this. They look so small, but the truth about it is that when you don't have it, they are the enablers that makes us to make a lot of money, in Nigeria. When we talk about, I think it was the keynote speaker that was talking about the 8.1 billion pounds, that are talking about the volume of trade between Nigeria and the trade balance where you mentioned is almost about 70 to 30. And majorly, even out of those 30, almost 90% of it is talking about the oil, the crude oil, and also the refined oil. So what it means is that the e-commerce and the SMEs, which are supposed to grow the economy, are absent, not because there is no demand, but simply because the enablers that will make this to happen are absent completely. So all we need to do is to grow just about 20 to 30% of our inefficiency, and you'll be able to see a boom. It's not about increasing production. The production is actually there. But the truth about it is that those structures to make this to happen is absent. And it requires a lot of investment as well, which means the private sector has to partner. Well, there's a lot of people in air cargos that, I don't know, you look at all the figures, and people at the end of the day say they don't want to invest because you look at it, why can I be the first mover? Why is somebody not been there? But this is opportunities everywhere. So probably people that do their risk analysis for them thought that, oh, how can it be? It's so sweet for somebody to understand this is what it is. But if we have only a warehouse just around the airport, that where we can actually ensure that we can aggregate, we can consolidate, we can do the packaging and the labeling in that place and secure it to the airport, it will reduce the time in which we are doing the processing and all of that. So those are the investments that I think we should put in place to ensure that we maximize these opportunities that we have on ground. So specifically on the cold storage, I think I've mentioned that. I think it's a fantastic thing that we need, especially talking about vegetables in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm aware that MM2 by Courtney has a very good cold chain, a cold storage warehouse. What we look at, we have a 69.6 million population in the UK, and we have about double that in Nigeria, far more. We've not done our population in a while. But what we need to do is, I would bring something to our notice. Strawberries are planted in Jos. Lots of vegetables are planted in Jos. But what has been the challenge, and we saw that thing trending this year, it's very highly perishable. The sun, I don't know if it's climate change, and the roads, driving it down. We had to actually move it down, and the consumption is Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Benin. That movement is not available at this time, but they've been able to create that warehouse and cold storage that we can leverage on. So what I'm actually begging the NBCC is have this platform of opportunities in Nigeria, because when the investors look at Nigeria, they look at only oil and gas. There are other things within the value chain that he mentioned, within the cargo value chain, that we can actually use to move all these rich fruits from location to location, even in a precise manner. My next question will be going to Mr. Alban Igwe. I had to look you in the eyes. How can Nigeria leverage on multimodal transport systems and strengthen airport infrastructure to build a more efficient and integrated trade corridor?
Thank you very much for inviting me in the first place and giving me the opportunity to share some of my insights, such as you have asked. It's quite interesting that the world is changing very fast, and Nigeria can play along. The game is not just about goods only, because globally, what constitutes the GDP of most countries, including Nigeria, is services. At least in Nigeria, we have about 59% of our GDP is services, globally about 2/3. So this is where multimodal transport comes into play. It's a service that we can sell, and we don't need to go too far to improve our capacities along logistics supply chain. Currently, Nigeria is ranking 88 out of 140, 141 around the world. We don't need to be in that level. Nigeria is ranking below Cotonou, ranking below Botswana, ranking below Ivory Coast. That's sad. And we have brilliant minds in this country that can live. I think we can highlight that as area that needs improvement and partnership in capacity building. Currently, we need to realize that the world is driving on logistics. That's why the World Bank has developed a metric from 2007 called the Global Logistics Performance Index. If you are low on that index, it means you are not competitive. So it is not really about the goods that you manufacture. It is how fast you move the goods to the market and make your returns. So even countries that don't produce take advantage of services like logistics and supply chain and become more competitive. I did a PhD on supply chain and food security. And it was shocking that Nigeria, ranking the world's largest producer, I didn't mean African largest producer, world's largest producer of yam. Over 70% of yam produced in the world is made in Nigeria. But Nigeria is not the world's largest exporter. The problem is logistics, the logistics problem. Actually, food security on its own is not a production problem. It's not an agriculture problem. It's a supply chain problem. Nigeria is losing 60% of yam produced. 60%. It's like pouring water in a basket. Okay, Nigeria, again, is the world's largest producer of cassava. Can you see this, Nigeria? But we are one of the most food insecure countries in the world. That's a very dirty paradox. Now, Singapore, at the moment, is the world's most food efficient country, most food secure country. Singapore is about the size of Imo State. Now, Singapore has no land for agriculture. So they do what they call contract farming. That is taking advantage of efficient logistics to do contract farming. Now, we can woo our partners as well. We have vast land in Cross River. We have in Kaduna. We have Imo. We have in Anambra. We have in many places. And we are crying of lack of export products. Why can't we build capacity along those lines, produce, process, and send to wherever they need it? UK, for instance, who is our major partner, UK is importing about 64.1 billion worth of agro-products in 2025. 64.1 billion pounds, not dollars. And Nigeria can take advantage of that. In fact, partnership along that line can push us up the ladder because it means that we have keyed into that over 100 trillion naira. You know that what that can contribute to our own economy. So I think that if we want to take advantage of agriculture, for instance, as a focus, we are not just thinking about agriculture, we're thinking about the entire agricultural supply chain. Because agriculture is going on here, but we are losing. In fact, it's a point of loss rather than a point of gain. So we can identify this potential for agriculture and supply chain. Also identify that our partner is actually spending as much as 64 billion British pounds. And so, okay, we can meet that need if we can collaborate. That collaboration can, within a short space of time, improve our capacity for supply chain management and logistics. So that way, we will be having a more or less close to balanced relationship in our trade. I don't know if I've addressed some of the issues. There are many things to say, but I'm aware that time is not on our side.
Thank you, Dr. Alban. The dynamic nature of and the current prevailing exigencies within Middle East is affecting price of fuel. So you're finding that with export, passenger traffic is going to reduce subsequently. People are going to rethink their summer vacation because of those price tickets. So what am I saying? Cargo, people still need to eat. So let's take advantage of this opportunity of agricultural products and leveraging on the logistics gap so that we'll be able to move cargo. And being able to move cargo, we have the cargo warehouse, SACO, representative here. And they'll be talking about, I have a question for you. SACO controls ground handling at Lagos, across Nigeria actually. The choke point, that word again, for Nigerian UK cargo operations, where the dwell times are reportedly 3 to 4 times longer than Heathrow. He did mention the Atarodo that got frozen. I didn't say he went through SACO, please. I didn't say that. So how much delay stems from your warehousing, documentation, or staffing issues, and how are you trying to improve that system? And what specific KPIs will you commit to matching UK standards in 12 months?
Good morning, all. Good morning, all. Yeah. Okay. Good question. As far as SACOL is concerned, we are doing a lot to mitigate the issue of delays in processing of some of these perishables. We have a dedicated part of the warehouse that is primarily dedicated for perishables, fully air-conditioned, just to ensure that temperatures are controlled within that environment. We also give priority to anything perishable in terms of the process it has to go through. However, we have a challenge, and that has to do with perishables that are going to the UK. From the last audit we had, it was stated that for every carton, it must be opened, not only for physical checks, but for ETD checks, and of course for the X-ray checks. Before now, we could do just the outside covering of the boxes, but now it is said that no, we have to open the whole thing up, and that is really impacting on the time of processing as far as these perishables are concerned. And what did we do? We had to increase manpower just to ensure that those times are taken care of. We also introduced a third lane X-ray and ETD processing center, just to ensure that we facilitate and fast-track this shipment. And I will tell you the truth, these machines are not cheap. A typical ETD is close to about 150 million naira. The X-ray machine we're introducing is about 900 million. So these are the kind of challenges we have that makes it appear as if there is delay. But now that we are fixing that, I will only say it will only mitigate against the delay, but cannot completely take care of this. Now, we also have the challenge of congestion. Every time people come and say, oh, this place is congested, this place is congested. The reason is simple. Years back, when you have the option of building, say, the import warehouse and the export warehouse, usually the export warehouse is built very small with the hope that, export will not grow. How much export am I getting by the way? So the attention is always given to the import. And of course, we know how dependent we are as a nation when it comes to importation. So they leave the warehouse, especially the export warehouse, much smaller than the import. Now, with the new government we have that is promoting export at all levels, what's happening now is that people are now rushing. They are now discovering that you don't have to eat all your granuts. You can send some abroad. You don't have to eat your cashew and all those things. You don't have to eat your ugu, like you rightly said. So now there's that influx of people wanting to process this and earn in dollars or earn in pound sterling. And by the way, you were talking about yam. You forgot that our population, we are over 200 million. Part of the yam we produce, we also eat. So it's after eating that we export the rest. So those are the challenges we have. And in order to also take care of that, we also expended so much in providing what is called cool dollies. Cool dollies are, how do I say it now? They are like a provision where the temperature can be controlled all the way from the point of acceptance to the foot of the aircraft where it is loaded. So initially we had two, we've added another one, and the intention is to add even much more, just to be able to accommodate the growing demand for export of these perishables. So that's what we are doing at SACOR to ensure that our things get to the right destination, the right time, and the right temperature. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll make this session or this program worth your while. It's not just a talk shop, like I said earlier. What are we taking away from it? How can we actually impact so that when we come next month, next year, we see that the needle has moved? What I see, and we're not reinventing the wheel. Ethiopia is doing it, South Africa is doing it, Kenya is doing it on a daily basis. So how can we leapfrog from where we are? We have highlighted so many things. However, what I see is for NBCC, we can have a partnership either with NEBSER or with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and where the British team come in and set up a tray, like a meeting place at SACOR and NACO warehouse, so that product is stabilized and good for export. We did, when we were in Cranfield, we did it in Ireland, where everything going to Dublin, everything going to going to the US is already cleared. You have US immigration, everybody in Dublin. So you have people here. And again, that will build capacity for us. It will build knowledge, because now you have these airlines complaining that even the security of these products too. By the time you carry things you think is cleared, there's a reason they're opening those boxes. Because the boxes is cleared, but someone has collected something. Maybe it's something that is not supposed to go into UK, like or the Saudi, the chewing stick that the Somalis eat is not accepted there, but it goes through here, and they'll be heavily penalized. So that's why they have to open these boxes, and so that they don't get penalized. We're short of time, but I'll take one more question for everybody. It'll be your turn now, Mr. And the question is, how can Nigeria position its airports? And you can actually say what you want to say as well. You answer that. Its airports as alternative cargo hubs for West Africa trade heading to the UK, especially given post-Brexit supply chain restructuring.
Thank you once more. The area I wanted to talk before now is this issue of cargo handling companies. Because in our study in Avia Cargo, which FAN commissioned, we did a study by Avia Cargo Committee. We found out that most of our cargo handling companies don't have a regulated and licensed agents, particularly what we call KC3, known consignor for third countries. And I want to believe that if my good friend, and he's a member of that committee, if he had advised his company, SACOR, that there is need for them to have a KC3 agent, that KC3 would have known that to export some certain goods to UK, you need to have their standards. They have standards. You need to have that. So that having professionals in your cargo facilities will help you reduce rejections at the final market destination. So we really need, even the UK, we need them to partner, like you said, with these companies to teach them what is required, their own requirements for certain goods to come to UK. That will help rejection and boost our export. So your question about what FAN is doing, this is also part of what FAN is doing. We've commissioned that report. They've done it. They found out reasons why we don't scale up most of our imports. So by doing those things, having a KC3, having a regulated agent, having a place like Avia Cargo, the commissioner from Ondo State mentioned it, that in their own distance, they have it. Because when you have a centralized place where you can do documentation, certification, lab testing of some of these products before you take them out, it reduces rejection, and that increases the earnings for our farmers and makes things good for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jibodu, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, as a ground handling company, we are not saddled with the responsibility of regulating agents. It is the duty of customs. They have customs license, and of course, when they have this license, we don't have the right to turn them back when they come with their shipment. I do agree that a lot of them are not professional in the approach and the way they carry out their duties, but we are limited by legislation on how to handle such issues. I was in one other forum like this, and this group, I can't remember, Aflon or something, they are saddled with that responsibility, and the guy spoke, their president spoke, saying that going forward, there are a lot of demands they will be making of these agents to ensure that at least they even know the basics of cargo, not to talk of how to handle some specific cargo. Many of them don't know. And those are the kind of challenges we have, because we take up this responsibility knowing fully well that if they mess up and the shipment gets abroad, we are the one that will be hammered at the end of the day. So I just needed to react to that it is primarily customs duty. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that input. I know there are lots of people here that have questions, and I know there are people here that actually came to get ideas as well. And knowledge is power. The knowledge well applied, that is. I see the opportunities. People want to expand their knowledge and go into export as well, because the government is promoting it. So what we want to see is, what is MM2? What is your forecast? And what are you doing, or what can be done within the cargo space moving forward? Because it's not just for now. We're forecasting and we're preparing for the future.
Thank you. So, we are a domestic terminal, right? Even though we have a lot of plans to see how we can enable the cargo chain in Nigeria. But basically for us, I think one of those areas that we want to encourage is, first of all, in Nigeria, as we have said, there's a lot of potential. But one of the major issues is that all the trade centers in Nigeria are not linked. So you have like Edo State doing their own, and you have Aba have their own, and you have Niger State. But when we talk about linking them, because now we're having a lot of airports coming up in Nigeria, but it is not just to have those airports, it is for you to develop a very robust trade paper whereby you can connect all those airports together. So you have the Gateway Airport, which is a cargo airport. You have the one at Owerri, which is also a cargo airport. What are those things that are we doing to ensure that we have people coming in from Libreville, for instance, and they enter through Port Harcourt? And these are mostly northerners that shop around there and come into Port Harcourt, but there is no connection to Kano. So those are the first things that we think we should do first, to see how we can encourage private individuals or government to first of all ensure that the trade centers are connected together. Because why? Lagos is actually the hub. Whatever that happens in those areas are the ones that we have to take down here, both arrival and departure. So first of all, we think that has to be connected. The second part of it is to ensure that we encourage even people, which is more important, to have dedicated aircraft for us to be able to move these cargoes we are talking about. Because as of today, most of the cargoes we are moving even to the UK are actually done through the belly cargo of the passenger aircraft. And what it means is that if I bring in an aircraft today and say I want to have a dedicated aircraft to the UK, you may struggle, and I'm sure that you understand that. You understand. You may struggle. But the truth about it basically is that you must ensure that you yourself can be able to develop the market as the owner of the aircraft. Because what has happened basically is that if you have that aircraft and the other belly cargo is going to give credit to their agent, and you may not be able to do that because how many hours you have to pay, at the end of the month. But if you have very strategic partnership whereby you can develop the market and has the produce already for you that you want to ship into the UK, that it makes it easy. And now stabilize the market in such a manner that it will not be competitive. Those other agents will now start patronizing you when they understand. Because the major thing you have to do is to ensure that the schedule reliability, the consistency of the movement from Lagos to UK, then that is what people, because the aviation is all about the time-sensitive thing. The precision is very important. So the timing has to be there. So if you have the timing that you can go to the UK almost every 24 hours, definitely after some time you have people doing that. So what we encourage, number one, is for people to ensure that let people invest in dedicated aircraft. Two, is to ensure that also in Nigeria, government and private individual, how can we develop policy and connect the trade center in Nigeria together so that everything can be able to come together in one spot? Because one of those issues we have is that you are moving something from the north and there is no connection. So before you move it by road or whichever way you want to move it, we are talking about vegetables, they are gone. So, but if you connect those things, and we have, somebody talk about the urban spoke, you don't have to have all the big aircraft. You have an ATR-72, which is about 9 tons, for instance, which you can use to move around cargo within those cities in Nigeria, bring them to Lagos, and have the bigger aircraft to take it to the UK. But if those centers are not connected, there is no how we'll be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll quickly round up this session, but we'll take one more question from Dr. Alban and Donald, and questions from the participants as well. So, Dr. Alban, what lessons can Nigeria draw from successful African trade corridor transformation, such as Mombasa? I did talk about Kenya today. Been to Durban, lots of sea, road, rail infrastructure integration. And how can we apply this on the UK-Nigeria lane?
Okay, thank you. Before I actually answer the question, I just need to make some intervention, some earlier matters raised. First of all, because this forum is meant to educate us, it is not the custom that has the responsibility for educating the freight forwarders. It is the Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria. That's the body that has that responsibility. Custom issues licenses for their purposes, to pay import duties, export duties, and all of that. But freight forwarding is a profession. So when people come to SACL and they are not registered with the Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding, it means you are dealing with quacks. And the earlier you put something in check, that will be better. Then the other point I need to quickly make is that this is about bilateral relationship. And we're talking about two countries trying to improve their trade. And here, Nigeria, we're at a disadvantage. And one key issue has been highlighted, that our problem is that our products get rejected. We need to solve that problem. And one way to solve that problem is what we call pre-arrival compliance system. We don't have to wait when our product reaches UK before it gets rejected. There's already a system that makes you approve your product here in Nigeria. Once it's approved, nobody rejects it. I think our partners in the UK should be encouraged to adopt this. So I will do all that is necessary to make our product compliant so that we don't lose time and money. Now, the critical point that is tied to the question you asked is, what lessons can we leverage from our colleagues in Mombasa and the other groups? You didn't mention ESCOM group, but that's okay. Now, what happened is that I appreciate the fact that UK has given Nigeria a loan of £746 million to improve the port. That doesn't solve the supply chain problem. The port alone does not solve the supply chain problem. So we need to be thinking. Somebody said that you want to think outside the box. I want to think what to do with the box, because it's not sufficient to think outside the box. Now, I think what we should be looking at is what happens from the port to the hinterland. If we're not integrated end to end, then there's still a lot. The efficiency of logistics is not about how you unload or load. It's the speed at which the cargo leaves your port, whether it's airport or seaport. So if you don't invest in the hinterland, if there's no intermodal connectivity, number one, intermodal connectivity, which is the infrastructure, then there's a big gap that will make the system very inefficient. And don't forget what I said before, that efficiency is now a matter of logistics globally. That's what the World Bank has developed, and that's how they measure it. Now, so what we do is we address the infrastructure holistically. But then logistic competence is about individuals. It's not about the infrastructure. How does the people the real movers? So if you find the 6 metrics that define logistic competence, one is logistic competence, which is the human beings or the companies that drive the process. If they are not competent, the system will remain stagnant. So I think the two bodies, Nigeria, UK, should be thinking holistically. It's an end-to-end supply chain business. And they think beyond infrastructure to entire connectivity. Connectivity also includes how I am able to move to UK to transact. Because if you don't relax some of the constraints, then we are not connected. Connectivity is not about the load moving. Sometimes I need to get into the... Now, Nigeria is a country that has a huge capacity on population, and all the capital that we have is the connection that we don't have. How to actually put the money to link up everything. Somebody raised an issue here about, it just escaped me what you raised the issue, but I can come back to that. So I think what's important is for us not just talk and walk away. Let's pin down to what are the specific problems we need to solve. If you don't understand our problem, you can't solve it. You need to understand that, this country is great. They have potentials. They have agro products. They have this. But the supply chain is a problem. How do we invest in the supply chain? If you can't invest in the supply chain, if we're not able to pay money in Britain, like currency swap, somebody mentioned, that's a major constraint, supply chain constraint. They have a lot of banks in the UK, UBA, and all of that, but we can't pay, we can't transact, so it becomes a supply chain problem. So we need to aggregate all of that so that we can make progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question for the panel will be from Mr. Donald. When April 2026, everybody knows that digitalization, AI is the key thing. We can have the products, but part of being efficient and seamless is digitalization, the process. All those challenges we are saying, if we have a system that scans that in, that actually we don't need to open, and they can track and trace everybody sending their things here. They know where that atarodo is. It will not be in the freezer. It would help the system because it gives you peace of mind. So my question to you, and the last question for the panel, is what is SACO doing towards the all-round digitalization of the system for the airlines, for the ground handling, for the export people, and just to ensure that it's seamless and efficient? It's all about efficiency.
Yes, as far as digitalization is concerned, it's a major step for us in SACO, trying to ensure that there's more efficiency in the way we carry out our job functions. For example, we have we call it shotgun, that helps us to tally shipments without necessarily doing it manually as we've always done. So it's just a matter of you shooting at it. It captures the type of shipment, the weight, and of course the number of pieces that is received. Those are part of what we are doing. And of course, I talked about cool dollies. If you notice, we are the only one so far that has that, as far as Nigeria is concerned. And it's part of the measures we are taking to ensure that we are not only attending to these shipments as they come, but maintaining the quality of what is being exported out. And when we started with a company called Blue Skies, what they wanted was slightly different. They bring these shipments, fresh fruits from Benin Republic into Nigeria. Now, you may want to know why are they not getting such fruit from Nigeria. That will be for another day. But then they bring it from there, and with the help of these cool dollies, we're able to move this thing, maintaining the same temperature. Then we're able to also build separately for them an ETD room and an X-ray room, just to ensure that these things are properly checked and before they are exported out. So those are the things we are doing, and we don't intend stopping. We're going to continue until everything is fully digitalized, and it impacts on the speed of processing of export out of our warehouse. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the end of this panel. However, we have a Q&A session where if you have questions, we'll take 2 to 3 questions, but before 2 to 3, maximum 4 questions, and just tell us who the question is for. But before I take the questions, I want to, knowledge is power, like I said. This is an information gathering session, like my colleague said as well. If you have questions or particular, you want to start exporting the ugu, we want to really make foreign exchange come to Nigeria. It will be for the good of all of us. But if you know where to go get what, I think this is where NBCC's website for agriculture and the export group would have that information link and URL so that they know who to go, if it's what agency to go, and most likely point them in the right direction. So we're open to the 4 questions. Your name, company, and please make it very straight to the point.
Thank you, moderator. You're doing a good job. Thank you. My name is Ike Onyechi, CEO, Alpha Pharmacy. The group has a part of it that does agric and commodity. My first question goes to SACO. What we heard from you seems to me the typical Nigerian blame game. Could be custom, could be FAN, and not SACO. But I want to submit that some of us who are old enough I've had a lot of these type of outings. And sometimes you wonder what happens with all the discussions, with the intellectual capacity displayed by even the moderator. This moderator can write a business plan for a serious government to take, and they execute some things that will change the narratives. I want to believe that with the chamber involved this time, we'll get us something from this. Every planner should know that to think seriously about things of this nature, or discussions of this nature, there should be a bigger warehouse. Yes, we all know that in the past, we all had all the import orientation. But now that we're exporting, a serious fan and government and minister should expand the warehouse for you, for goodness sake. So you should have space to do your work. You should have the right staff to do the work. Otherwise, we are not ready yet for this part of expansion and earning that comes from it. I know about the... I'm compelled to say this because recently, my son exported cocoa. He had done everything that he needed to do. The inspection agencies, SGS, and they've done everything. What spoils the export? The Nigerian government still insists that they have to be the ones to fumigate your cocoa or produce before it goes out. And somebody buys a fake fumigation chemical, and after all the work, the first set of import done by a young man who had studied overseas, done this, done that, and came back to work. His first export was ruined by a fake government agent who brought a fake product. How do you account for this type of somebody? I'm saying this because I'm sure there are other exposures. Somebody told him, if you had asked me, I would have told you to pay them their money and do the fumigation yourself. Okay, this is how we work in this country. So if you have, let me stop here. There are a few other things that have happened that are very frustrating, and even the government should step up its game, because some of these things are so easy. Mr. Jury, I appreciate you again. Some of the summaries you did are things that the government can sit down in a place with a few people and craft how to do our exports. Copy and paste from Kenya and other places. Thank you. Please, let's get more serious. It's very annoying that we cannot really take off. Thank you.
We've taken off. We're just about going to the cloud and stabilize. It's like they say, it's not Rome that wasn't built in a day. UK too was not built in a day. Some of us are actually hands-on business entrepreneurs. I'm a dedicated cargo airliner. So we're not just talking off the book of data, we're talking from experience. It's what we eat, sleep, and drink every day. And it comes with the challenge. You'd say, what's happening in the Middle East? Nobody foresaw COVID. Now we're seeing Middle East. It's going, by the end of the year, we don't know where we'll go. But all that said, I'm not saying we should not improve. We are improving, and that's why we're here. And thanks for coming. 2 good heads and 10 good heads are better than one. And it's not just going to be a talk shop. I said it several times. It's like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but sometimes there are lots of moving parts. By the time you get to the minister, this person, actually, you didn't even say the African Free Trade Zone after, because that's front burner and this other thing, and they want to be in front. But we will make it work. We're here for Nigeria, for the love of country, and we want to actually improve the bilateral trade between both countries. I will now hold back the rest of the three people. We'll take the three questions as one, and then we'll be able to give answers and close on before, so that we don't take people's time for granted. Second question, please make it very brief, very brief. We can actually, this opportunity is for networking as well. You can meet the panelists thereafter, exchange cards, and actually talk further.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Paul, and I work for FOY Global Investments. So, Mr. Remy, you spoke about policy, and my question tilts towards that angle. So, yes, we may have the farms. We have level playing ground, to make us competitive in the global market. But you agree with me that if policy do not support the factors of production, then that's the beginning of problem. Do you agree with me, sir? Awesome. When I saw this topic, the first question that came to my mind is, does this address structural bottlenecks, or is it just repackaging existing trade patterns? In my opinion, and I'm asking as a question, the constraints Nigeria is faced with are FX and policy instability. You would agree with me that exchange rate volatility in very many ways affects trading, contracts, right? Similarly, when policies are inconsistent, you tend to scare off long-term investors. So now my question is, how do we as a country try to address these vehicles that, in so many ways impact trade, international trade, not just with the UK, but with so many other economies of the world? Thank you.
We'll take all the questions, like I said, then we'll have answers for it. Please note your questions. Precise, concise, please.
Thank you. My name is Temi Oyewole from the Green Pastures Consulting. I think I have an observation and also a question. And that is one of the most apparent things that I'm hearing today is that there's a misalignment in structure in terms of regulation and overseeing partners. And my suggestion would probably be, is there an opportunity to have a workshop over a couple of days where the key stakeholders actually come together to actually align those strategic regulation positions? Because I feel like there's a lot of misstatement and solo activation inside certain areas, and it just seems like there's a misalignment that we need to kind of come together within our own houses with the key stakeholders and actually thrash it out. So while conferences like this are great, I think the bigger issue is, can we have a workshop that initiates those discussions and gets down to the crux of the problem in terms of regulation, alignment, structure, and how we kind of position that in the market? And then also, my second thing is, can we take some of the examples that our partners are doing in other countries and maybe have them join those workshops as well, or we go to those places so that we can start implementing their processes in what we have here? The key thing is to have the key stakeholders available, because if we have people who go there who aren't able to make the decisions, then we're going there for the sake of, I'm taking this idea and it's a solo project again. So there needs to be some form of unity. So I'm just throwing it out there. Is there an opportunity to have such a workshop, maybe over 2 or 3 days, that can actually tackle the problems that we have on ground in terms of regulation and structure?
Third and final question.
Good morning or good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chineku Nwosu Igbo from Springford Africa Limited. We manufacture infusions, that's tea, in Nigeria. And my question is, perhaps to the moderator, when we talk about export in Nigeria, most of the time we're talking about raw materials. But I think Nigeria has come of age. It's time for us to begin to move the conversations around locally produced, value-added products. Because if you go to the supermarket shelves, for instance, you find made in Nigerian products, well packaged, even up to international standards. So I think my question now is, how do we begin to move the conversation from the exportation of raw materials? Because we've been doing this for since the beginning of exportation in Nigeria. We've been exporting more of raw materials. Now you're looking at countries like Belgium, for instance. You talk of Belgian chocolates, but they barely have cocoa. So why are we exporting our raw materials? So my question is to the moderator, sir. Please, sir, what interventions or what are those things that can be put in place to support the exportation of finished products in Nigeria, and how do we begin to promote this conversation? Thank you.
All right. We'll take one more question. Let's be fair. We said 4 earlier. But please, one more question and that's it.
Make it short. Very short, please.
My name is Anne. I represent SACO. So I want to talk about exporting of finished products, just like she said. But I'll pick something for what he said and what she said. What he said about bottlenecks in our regulation system, and what she said about our system, our policies being unstable. So, like my GM rightly said, we have a client right now in SACO. So they send temperature-controlled fruits, cut fruits, and it's going straight to the UK every day. We have these fruits in Nigeria. So I asked when I spoke to one of the staff, why are we not doing this directly from Nigeria? And to think that they brought in people from the UK all the way to Benin Republic to open a factory. And they said they came to Nigeria first, but our policies sent them away. So I'll just be direct. Like she said, can we have a forum where all the government agencies will come together and structure policies that will be favorable for these farmers, those that have enough land to produce or help us export our products, farm products, already finished, packaged, and then, we send it to other countries. Thank you.
Thank you. In interest of time, we're going to cut off the questions at this point. We'll answer your questions and we'll close this panel. I think he had a question for Mr. Remy. I'll answer the other question and we'll close it. Thanks for your time and concentration.
Okay, I think the question that was asked was talking about the policy. What kind of policy can we put in place to be able to dislodge the bottlenecks that we have? Basically, and globally, one of the directions we have to go is privatizing all of these things, people that are the players. One of those things that happen is that we have the national single window in Nigeria even presently now. It's not as if it's not there. But doesn't mean that you are actually getting the value from it. You understand? So what it means is that I'm sure you pay up to about 300 or something per kg, but almost all those money, about 90%, are not receipted. So it is not as if you don't even have that single. But the behavioral issues in terms of corruption and a lot of things has really made this impossible. So it is only when the private individual, a company invests its money, will not be able to allow those corruption to happen. And you'll be able to put systems in place. You have to drive it away from the airport, for instance. You need to very ensure that the warehouses where you produce all of these things. It's not at the airport. A private individual has already spent his money. He has put up a system in place. He cannot allow corruption to ruin it, definitely. So, but if you still put it like you are giving everybody a handout, you will continue to have this. I may not be able to tell you specifically these are the policy, but I can tell you the direction has to go towards privatizing it. Thank you.
And to the question about raw materials, yes, there's still, I can't say the percentage. I would say more of a 70-30. But what needs to be done, it's actually, someone told me you have to do your work and do the next person's work in the value chain. So government has actually stopped export of shea butter. But if you open a shea butter processing and increase that extraction process, you're able to sell more than the shea butter cream and the other products. Even coconut oil, coconut water, and coconut milk. So there are all of these things that you can actually sell and package out. Hibiscus, we've seen how Zobo is selling. The paper, the plant is going out, especially to the GCC states, but you actually have those that are processed with honey as well. You see this processing, then granules as well, sesame seed, the jute, ewedu is now processed in dry forms. And you actually, moringa is what we're familiar with. So we have all these products that are processed, but what you have to do is now look for buyers, and that's where NBCC will work with you. Look for buyers or what we call uptakers. Once they're uptakers, they're able to tell you what they want you to do, the specimen and what they do. What we do out of Ghana and out of those that we do exports for hair, they come in, the buyers come in from UK, come in from everywhere. They tell you the standards they want. Once you meet those standards, you're able to actually process and add value and send it to them. And that actually opens you to the market and makes you grow and leapfrog. So it's a lot of work, I'll tell you. Like they say, talk is cheap, but it's something, once you start and you add value to it, it's being able to do it. At this point, we'll have to close this session. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And we'll yield it to Mr. Fortune.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, a round of applause to our panelists. I'm not going to let you go. Please, you can. No, the panelists can step down. Our moderator, please take a seat, and we can continue. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's wonderful. Yes. Okay. Let us have a group picture. Yes, quickly. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Please, Commissioner, can you come to the stage? And our guest speaker, please come to the stage for a group picture. And while we do this, can we have the adverts for our sponsors on the screen, please? For them. Thank you. We would like to continue with this process, but before then, I would like to remark here that for those who have asked questions about a continuation of this session and to fill the gaps for export facilitation, policy issues, and possibly creating awareness, NBCC has a plan to have a boot camp on export facilitation, a more realistic that applies to most of the questions that you've asked here. We'll be calling you in the future for that. It's going to be like a 2-3 day workshop that will address the issue of policy and processes for exports. And that's the export committee will be driving. Ladies and gentlemen, today is about action, transforming dialogue into trade flow and connectivity into prosperity. I would like us to take another advert of our sponsors. Do we have it on ready? Advert for the British American Tobacco, please. British American Tobacco is one of our sponsors, so and we are very grateful to have them with us. Yes, a round of applause for them. They are not just only exporting to over 11 countries, but they are creating massive job in Nigeria. That is what exports do. Exports creates job. I also like to have an advert from our financial sponsor, Zenith Bank. Please, if we have Zenith Bank, let us acknowledge them for the good work they are doing.
Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Thank you, Zenith. Thank you. I'm sure Zenith has, an exports desk. So for those of you who will be looking into financing, so you can always talk to Zenith. All right. So to move to the next session, we have panelists from Zenith Bank will join us to the stage. Dr. Chinedu Zephaniah, please, can you join us to the stage? Yeah. Mrs. Chioma Chudi Anukwe, Assistant Director, Standard Organization, please join us to the stage, please. Mrs. Carolina Tenza, Consultant, Henley Partners, please join us to the stage. I hope I got the name right. Yes, please. Okay. This is more gender balanced than the previous one. Yes. Mrs. Odiri Erewa, I think it's more than balanced, yes. External Director, External Affairs. Candy, please, over there. Director, External Affairs, British American Tobacco. All right, so this session deals with policy and investment and mobility. And with us again is Mr. Tayo Ojuri, who have done extensively well in the last panel. And I'm very sure that it will connect, and the benefit of your coming here today will be rewarding. Thank you very much, Tayo Ojuri.
Thank you very much. Like I said, it's election time, so it's 4 + 4. Thank you very much. So, on a more serious note, welcome to second Panel, I'll be gender sensitive now. I'll go start from there, Mrs. Ed. Look at the names. Yes. I realize you're not going to be staying with us through the time. You have some other conflicting time. So we'll quickly take your time to answer our questions, and we'll release you. We'll be fair enough to let you go. Sorry. Thank you very much. So we're looking at the policy, finance, and investment mobility. And my question for you, Mrs. Odiri Ewara-Magidson, hope I was right. Yes. So she's the Director of External Affairs of the British American Tobacco Company. And we're looking at more of a public-private collaboration for a competitive trade corridor. So my question, from a private sector standpoint, how can stronger public-private collaboration help address key bottlenecks in Nigeria's trade and logistics ecosystem?
Thank you very much for the question, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the NBCC leadership team for this session. I think the sessions this morning were very insightful. We all seem to know what the issues are. The conversations, it's almost like we're saying the same thing. I think from a business point of view, it's important that for us like this, like the OPS, I think you are the engine for bringing public and private partnership together to make sure that we can actually implement the things that we say we want to do. So for us, when we talk about how can partnerships work, when we look at like our business, for example, within the corridor UK and Nigeria, having standards alignment is very critical, right? And this is something that it seems like is a no-brainer, but it creates problems. Labeling, it's important. For businesses to be able to thrive, right, you need to have sustainability. You need to be able to have stability in terms of policy, as has been spoken earlier on, in terms of regulations and standards that you need to comply with. You know, every time you have to change a packaging or labeling requirement because you have not been, you are not aware of the changes that have happened in the UK or in Nigeria, the lead time means you are slower to market, costing your business more. And what does it do? It really opens up the door for illicit products to come in because these guys don't comply to the rules and regulations that you comply with, right? So it's important that we bridge that gap in making sure that we have the consistency and the different governments speak to themselves. I know a lot is happening now, especially with when the Minister of, Honorable Minister of Industry and Trade went to the UK. But I think it's more in terms of the implementation, right? Making sure that you have the private entities who are well-versed, who can bring mentorship and experience to the table, in that room to help to navigate around how do you implement in a systemic and sustainable way that you can track it as well and make sure that it's working for both countries at the same time, is what I would say on this one.
Thank you very much. I have to give kudos to BAT. Growing up, I saw lots of backward integration. You have the farmers, I call it the BAT Olam model. And that's one thing we should think about. Those that want to actually export. You want to, the challenge, we can say on and on, the challenge is all about standardization. But what they've done is they ensure that what they want as a product, they actually give the seed. They ensure that that product is, the end product is what they want. So they start with the end in mind. Very well done. And you can see that's where they have actually grown. I'm not marketing for you, though.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to the Group Head Corporate Communications Zenith in the person of Mr. Chinedu Zephaniah. And my question for you is the trade finance penetration in Nigeria remains below 20% of potential demand. What is Zenith Bank doing to close this gap, particularly for SME exporters trying to access the UK market?
Thank you very much, Mr. Jury. It's been nice listening to the kind of deep conversation that has come out today. To your question about finance penetration being just about 20%, particularly for export-oriented businesses, I like to say that for you to finance SMEs, you need to understand the entire ecosystem. One of the participants in the last panel spoke about an entire value chain. So while looking at the finance penetration, I think the first question should be, why are SMEs not yet very attractive for financial institutions to lend them? Is it only finance that you require to excel as an SME? I mean, the issues of infrastructure come in. When you start that business, you will require power. You require capacity building. You require to learn the basics of, as simple as that sounds, bookkeeping, so that when the bank approaches you to finance you, they'll be able to see from your cash flow what represents your profits, what's your capital. I mean, as simple as that sounds. And then we go into the export business that has its own gamut of challenges in our environment. And not to sound like a broken record, a lot of the speakers today had mentioned some of those issues. So with this background, I'd like to say that for SMEs, there is no doubt that SMEs are engine room for growth. A friend said the meaning of SME is springboarding massive economy. I don't know, it sounds like a joke, but I tend to agree with him. Everywhere in the world that you see well-entrenched, sustainable economic development, at the bottom of it are SMEs. So there's no point belaboring the fact that if we want to be serious about our economy growing sustainably, we need to finance them. So having known this, and we still have 0.51 to 1.8%, according to CBN, being the credit to SME, that tells you that the fundamental problem is making them bankable, not just increasing the loans to these people. So in Zenith Bank, we start by making them bankable. We select SMEs in different sectors, and we first of all provide capacity building for them. Those in trade would naturally join our SME Grow My Business. People have argued that a lot of women are benefiting from that product more than men. And I tell them women pay loans better. So when you as a bank look at your demographics and the women that borrowed pay better, banks are the most gullible people on the face of the earth. When you borrow and pay, you borrow and pay, you'll be able to borrow again. So we take them through those training, and then we provide loans for them. And then there's a zero to hero program that we have, where we select SMEs and take them through the value chain support. Because some of these SMEs actually, what they require is, how do they go through the certifications that is involved in their business, access to markets, and then when they get this access to markets and you've dotted all the line, you provide the financing. So it is at that point that I come back to your question, we now finance them. And to support this, they get an interest rate a notch lower than other people that borrow from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chinedu. I think you should have started at the last part. Because, you know, as an entrepreneur, talk is cheap. The bank, SMEs, they tell you, we don't do startups. You take an aircraft that you want to move cargo, they don't do startups. So, did they start all of a sudden? Zenith didn't start all of a sudden. You were a startup at some point. And seriously, nobody wants to do startup. And the reality of the SMEs here, you said all these things. They go to the branch today, they say, bring the head, bring the tail, bring everything. And it's not, we all say what the problem is. We know what the problem is. Let's profess solutions. You know one thing that has worked, where United States is still the bedrock of capitalism. 4% is kept somewhere. It's Silicon Valley or anywhere, and saying, okay, we'll give you whatever you want to do. We see the risk, but we put 4%. If I get 10 people, 2 will pass or 2 will grow. And that's why you've seen all these companies come out of there. What are we doing in the next 5 years? Because it's not a government issue, it's our issue. Out of your big bonus, which you're not talking about, are you putting with NBCC, put 1% and say, okay, whoever wants to do this risk, we will do the checks, not just, we'll do the due diligence, and then we'll back you. Eventually, this will work.
Okay, do you want me to?
Well, this is a panel. Go ahead.
Okay, so, the first thing I like to say is that banks really and truly finance businesses. I think the conversation here is that they need to come down lower for startups and small and medium-scale enterprises. I think that's the point you're making. Because, the bulk of the profits that banks declare are interest income, and they are loans that they actually book. The point I'm making is that banks are also private businesses. Mr. Ojiri, if you owned a bank, you would lend first and foremost to the people you're sure that as soon as you give them that money, they can pay back better. You're not government who will say, okay, I'm trying to make sure everybody gets a loan. In the business of lending, it's not really everybody come inside. It's about risk and return. So, and then even under that bucket, different banks have their different risk acceptance criteria. And as I speak that, one of the people that taught me credit is sitting here looking at me. So the point I'm making is that there are other things that affect SMEs borrowing money and paying back in due time. There are major issues about infrastructure, major issues about ease of doing business, major issues about environmental, so many issues, capacity building. And so when we isolate access to finance and then we're speaking only to banks providing cash to businesses, I'm saying we are right, but that's not the entire picture. Okay? Let me not sit here and say that banks shouldn't lend more. Yes, banks should lend more. But we have a regulator who is looking at us. And there's something called prudential ratio. When we lend you that money, and after the number of days you don't pay, they come with the biggest sledgehammer on the bank. So I think it's a holistic challenge that everybody, like they spoke after the last panel, everybody have to be in the room. The government, the regulators, people who ensure that we have electricity in Nigeria. We have rail to move coal from Enugu straight to Apapa Wharf, and the rest of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next question will be from Ms. Carolina Tenzer, and she's the consultant Henley and Partners, one of the sponsors. Thank you very much. And the topic, we're looking at the investment, mobility, and business residential pathways. In quote, JAPA. How can investment, migration, and residency pathways enhance business mobility and strengthen investment flows within the UK-Nigeria trade corridor?
Sure. Thank you so much. From a Henley perspective, it's very simple. So you'll be surprised how many calls I get a day from CEOs or top executives calling me and saying, Carolina, I have a meeting in New York, I have a meeting in Paris, I have a meeting in London, and I can't go because my visa has been rejected, or, they're taking too long, or this and that. So the first thing that our programs do is unlock mobility, right? They remove the visa stress from our clients. Once you unlock mobility, you obviously have better business access, right? So once you have that mobility, it's much easier to go to the UK, build these businesses, have these partnerships. I think that we've been speaking so much about bilateral trade and how important it is between the two countries. So I do think that it's really, really important for Nigerians to have access to such an important market as the UK, and they can achieve that with a lot of the programs and residence programs that we offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolina. I know we have a huge historical partnership with UK, so it actually helps us as well. And last but not the least, for Madam Chioma Chude Anoku, the Assistant Director of Organization of Nigeria, and the head WTO TBT unit. My question for you, Madam, what steps can Nigeria take to better align its regulatory frameworks, standards, and compliance systems with international requirements to reduce trade barriers and improve export competitiveness?
Thank you so very much, moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so when we talk about regulatory alignment, it's actually an entire ecosystem. It's not basically on a particular agency because it's a mix of agencies, laws, policies, and programs. Okay, so if we are looking at how Nigeria can better align these regulatory agencies, we look at what Nigeria has already put in place, starting from the Nigerian National Quality Infrastructure, right? And under this national quality infrastructure, we have the National Quality Policy. In this, they bring all together these regulatory agencies, starting from Standards Organization of Nigeria. You have the Nigerian Accreditation System, that's NINAS. You have NAFDAC, you have NBCC, and all that. So what we're trying to do is, first and foremost, building on, especially between Nigeria and the UK, building on the enhanced trade investment partnership that is already in place. We build on that ETIP partnership to ensure that, first and foremost, the regulatory cooperation between Nigeria and UK under the standards and conformity assessment procedures will be built on diplomatic track, based on the fact that we are trying to avoid unnecessary barriers to trade. So, aside that, we have this partnership with the UK under the Standard Partnership Program Nigeria has. So you find out that the issues that have been mentioned especially in the first panel, was about rejections, certifications, and all that. Nigeria is moving towards acquiring this alignment between our country and others, not only specifically to UK alone, but I'm only just trying to tell you that with the BSI and the UK FCDO, that's the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, they are doing a whole lot, for Nigeria, using the various regulatory agencies. A whole lot have been done, including capacity building for SMEs and all that. Now, in the past, based on the rejections we're talking about, you will see that certifications have been an issue where products have been rejected, either in terms of the packaging, the labeling, or the certification. Yes, it's not every product that are exported that have been rejected, but majority. And most times, the informal one, that is when they shout. But the ones, like you also mentioned, you work with, people that are really ready to export, and they export successfully. But there are some that will want to also buy cut corners, and they want to export, and they have problems, and they come back and shout. So it's not only on the regulatory agencies, it's also on the exporters. In as much as I admit that the government will still have to do a whole lot in bringing these exporters to book, based on the OPS and all that. BAT has been exporting, even in different types of platforms, especially the ETLS within the ECOWAS region and all that, AFC18 and all. So now we're looking at a situation where the rejection of certificates was as a result of non-compliance. Now we're talking about UK, non-compliance with UK requirements. Okay, when you want to export, you must meet the requirements of that country. So sometimes, like from Sun, we have what we call mandatory conformity assessment products certificate that we issue to manufacturers. So sometimes when they have that certification, they just carry their product and feel that they are done and they need to export. You will be turned back because that requirement is meeting the mandatory Nigerian industrial standard. It is not for the foreign, it's not for exports, okay? So the organization has what we call the SUN XCAP. That is the SUN Export Conformity Assessment Program, strictly for export purposes. And what that means is that they must test your product in line with that country you're going to. So under that same partnership of ETIP, Nigeria is lucky to have had this peer evaluation of NINAS. In the past, it was not there. We have NINAS, that's the Nigerian National Accreditation System. That is the accreditation body for Nigeria. And that is one of the things UCAS, which is the equivalent of NINAS in Nigeria, look out for. Once your product is tested to a particular accredited laboratory, it will be accepted. And that is why that slogan is tested once, accepted everywhere. So we are missing up on that in Nigeria because NINAS was not initially having that peer evaluation, okay, with ILAC and IAF. But today, as I speak, I would say congratulations to us, Nigeria, congratulations to NINAS, because through the help of BSI, FCDO, we have been able to have that peer evaluation. Standardization does not just fall only for SUN, okay? It's a chain also, because conformity assessment comes to play. Testing, accreditation, laboratory, that's testing, certification, and all that. So if you have the standard that the exporter needs to meet, you need to meet up that standard of that country. That's one. You need to be tested for your product to be accepted. That's two. And this testing must have to come from an accredited laboratory. If it is not accredited, it will not be accepted. And thanks that NINAS now have this peer evaluation, they are also a member of AFRAC, and UCAS is a signatory to ILAC, right? So that gives us an edge right now that we can actually export to these countries without issues. So at this junction, I will pause because I don't know the next one that is going to come, so I don't talk much, but I will pause and urge the exporters to utilize that medium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. The challenge I have with, I can see the passion, even all the acronyms, but the challenge I have, and FAN is here, there is standard organization. FAN is not FAN, is Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. You find out there is SUN, standard organization, at the airport there about 6. Because Lagos is considered like the New York or the trading partners for West and Central Africa. They come here, they buy. Out of the 800 million people in West and Central Africa, they come to Lagos from Omo to slippers to wig to everything they come to buy here. And then we move within West and Central Africa, we do the second mile for them. So what I'm saying is the challenge is Standard Organization of Nigeria, through all these patterns, our sections and accreditations, are they now part of the single window? So it's just seamless. And can that be done within 15 minutes, which is that 15 minutes time that is done in Kenya? Even if we cannot do it in like 15 minutes, can we 30 minutes or the man is not on seat or he has gone on lunch? No, this is my everyday life. So you look at this challenge, but briefly, because we have to close this session soon.
Okay, so thank you. For your information, yes, SON is a very active member and is integrated already in the single window. We're already in the single window. And most of our processes are even digitalized. Like the ManCap, I'm talking about, the SUN has a lot of our processes that has to do with both imports, manufactured locally, and export. They're all integrated. And if you talk about if it can be done within the 15 minutes, like you said, well, we have turnaround times because we're also being checked by PEBEC. But I must make you understand that like you earlier said, you don't just grow like that without issues. In the single window, there are challenges right now. So in as much as there's integration, we still have challenges. So we need more time. We cannot just do automatically like Kenya because it just started. It was just launched, and let me say they're still testing the waters. There are still challenges, not only for Sun, but all the other agencies that are integrated into it. Like you're aware, the Biodogo of Customs is not working. It's not connecting with this. So at the moment, yes, there will be challenges. But we believe that, yes, when these challenges are addressed, we'll have a seamless thing. In the long run, we'll all benefit. We'll all enjoy it. But for now, let's just, sail a little like a snail. We'll get there.
While we are sailing, that loan that I collected from Zenith I'll not say offline.
I just wanted to say, from a practical and from a business point of view, I think all the agencies are doing phenomenal things individually. But I think there has to be some kind of a campaign, an awareness campaign, because we're saying we want Nigeria to be forward in terms of export. We want to take it very seriously. When I was looking at the statistics that was shared this morning earlier on, it talks about we're about the 36th trading partner for the UK, right? And it's growing, all right? So there's a lot of potential and opportunity there. But we need to go a bit further to bring people who have the desire to export and help Nigeria non-oil exports to grow, to actualize that. So everything you're saying is phenomenal. Within Sun, everybody, you know that in Sun, but how many exporters know what's going on, what's up, right? So you have to come up, all the agencies have to come together. You have to drive a campaign, national campaign, to harmonize. I know NEPC is doing a lot of things, in their own corridors and all of that, but you all have to come together and help the exporters to be well informed and enlightened so that when their products are packaged, manufactured, they meet the standards, they get into the countries and they're accepted and they can repatriate the proceeds back to Nigeria and help Nigeria. Because when we export, we are actually creating jobs, right? So we all have to jump on that bandwagon and help to create jobs for Nigeria. Thank you.
Sorry. I just want to add to what she said.
Yes.
In as much as awareness is an issue, I accept that. But I know that a whole lot of agencies in silos are carrying out sensitization awareness. Unfortunately, maybe the people in this room were not invited. So we encourage at this point that you belong to an organization. We have the NASIMA, we have the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, we have a whole lot. Belong to an organization where you can be invited. Because if you're looking at individual invitation, it may be difficult. But if you belong to an organization, letters are always sent to that organization so that you can attend such programs. That's what I would just say for now. Thank you.
Okay, we're running out of time, so we'll have to do this with the speed of Speedy Gonzalez. I will take... that feedback was your next question, so we'll take it that. I will just take one more for Zenith Bank. And my question for you, Zenith Bank, is the PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, now live. How quickly can Nigerian Bank integrate it to reduce reliance on correspondent banking for intra-African and UK-rooted trade settlement? Briefly, please.
All right. First of all, this is one product that, as an African, makes me very proud. And we ought to be proud about things that come out from Africa. Time was, if you paid for goods you bought in Cotonou, which is 100 kilometers away from here, compared to paying for goods in Taipei, 12,500 kilometers, the payment, the settlement is done quicker for goods in Taipei. People have alluded to infrastructural deficiency, what have you. But I think that PAPS is in place to address some of this, and we're beginning to see enhancements in trade settlement across Africa. To your question, how quickly can banks get on this? The central bank, as we have it today, has done a lot. In fact, there's a regulation that came out last year, about April last year, that it was mandatory for all banks to get on PAPS. Now, what this has done is it's no longer something banks are considering. Is this an option for us to take? Do we have the IT backbone to carry it? it's now a must. So, and what we have seen now is that banks have gotten very innovative about it. Zenith Bank has what we call Smart After. So in addition to vanilla, we give you a platform that has all manner of other non-financial benefits like information, tariffs, if you have payments for goods that you're settling for cocoa in Côte d'Ivoire. Apart from the payment, are there tariff issues that you need to be aware of? Are there certification issues that you need to be aware of? So in summary, the era, it's not yet uhuru, okay, because up to still 80% of intra-Africa trade still is routed through correspondent banks in New York, all over the world. But substantial progress is being made and will continue to be made. Thank you.
In the interest of time, my last question will be for Carolina. I have data from last year. This is inflow from UK was $12 billion. He had the data, same data for a quarter. So based on that, how does immigration, migration, golden visas, startup visas, innovation founder visas translate into measurable trade and foreign direct investment outcomes? And now, can you share data from comparative bilateral corridors?
Sure. So the UK, first of all, definitely has been a little bit more selective. So the traditional investors and entrepreneur visas that we knew before, they're closed. And they're no longer available. However, we do have other programs that are still available for those who are seeking residence in the UK. One of them is a global talent visa, which is obviously very much merit-orientated, so it's not for everyone. But we still have something that the UK calls self-sponsorship visa. This is basically for Nigerians that want to open a new business in the UK. This business needs to be legitimate. It needs to be profitable. You need to hire local people. So that is, one of the options that we have today. Because of this shift as well, and I think this is interesting to say, we have seen a shift with Nigerian investors looking at other markets, not only the UK, right? So they're looking into the EU, they're looking into Greece, they're looking into Spain, they're looking into Portugal, they're looking into Latvia. There are a lot of other programs and countries that are offering, really good investment opportunities for Nigerians. So in short, the UK is, still very attractive. It's not the easiest route in terms of residence for Nigerians at the moment. But for, they are looking into the EU because they are understanding that these are more clever and easier routes at the moment.
I know we've been talking about people leaving Nigeria for UK, but from my experience, so many years in aviation, what we see is the data of Nigeria as just what you call destination, origin and destination, whereby it's all people that have families that come here. Are you promoting Nigeria as a tourist place? I heard someone, we will get there. There's somewhere in there where people will start saying security and everything. There's still some places we can go. But if it starts with somebody. Eventually, we'll start promoting. So if you're not doing it, please let's start doing it.
I love that idea. I've been here for more than a decade, so I obviously always promote Nigeria. Unfortunately, the government does not have a proper program in place as a residence or citizenship programs to attract foreign direct investment, which I think it is a shame. We were talking about this earlier, and I think they should have one. So I'll do my best to try.
On that note, I'll tell them, come for Dirty December. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
Thanks for your time. Any questions?
Yes.
Questions and answers? Yeah. We can't take 4 at this time. In the interest of time, we're not cutting you off. We want to learn. This is a symbiotic relationship. You have Zenith Bank. You have NBCC, which is a platform on which everybody is here. reach out to them. If Fortune does not give you feedback, escalate to the president. We voted him or elected him. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we taking any questions?
2 questions, please.
Yeah, just 2 questions first, and make it brief, please. Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you. This is not a question, but a comment. My colleague out there did not quite defend the banks when it comes to SME lending. I think most of us are still in that mode of the past where it was so risky to lend to SMEs. As far back as 10 years ago, a whole lot of banks had structured products that handled SME banking. In my own experience, when I used to be CEO of Fidelity Bank, I remember that our SME portfolio was about 140 billion, and the loan-to-deposit ratio was about 50%, which means that for every 1 naira people had given to us, we were lending 50 kobo. And you know the interesting thing, because they are structured products that were used, the loan default, non-performing loan ratio was about 1.2% and had remained like that for a long time. So if people understand the structure, how to structure these SME loans, SMEs, there are good ones, there are bad ones, but there are structures that will make you actually have a decent run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The last, please, over there.
Okay. Praise. Okay, so again, Samuel Paul. Mrs. Chioma, this question is for you. You spoke of certifications certifications constitute barriers for SMEs on the export front. So, because you didn't really, in your speech, you didn't really hammer if there are active efforts, put in place to help SMEs access the international market.
Thank you. Thank you.
The second question is for Mr. Chinedu. So, most bilateral trade agreements, they are technically open to everyone. But in a way, large corporations benefit most from it. Yeah, because they have the structure, the capital, and also the, connect to benefit from. And SMEs often get locked out because due to scale and capacity constraints. So my question is simple. In your opinion, how do you think this can be addressed such that this trade benefit do not remain at top level? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So we can just take that and then we'll be rounding up. Please, madam.
Okay, thank you so very much. Well, for SMEs, I'll start with SON. SON has what we call some waivers given to SMEs when it comes to certification. Okay? So the only thing they need to do is to walk into any of the office, let them know that this is what you have to export or what you're producing. They will tell you what it means to whatever country, not necessarily only to the UK. Okay? Just go there and be very sincere, because most times these exporters come. They won't even tell you they want to export. They will just tell you, we have this product and we need to certify it. If the person you're talking to is not even aware that you want to take this product out of the country, you go in for MANCAP. They give you MANCAP. So that's an issue. But if you are very clear to the person, I want to export this particular product to a particular country, they guide you appropriately, help you seek the kind of certification that is needed. And they have waivers for that. And aside that, in the Nigerian perspective, NDPC is doing very, very wonderfully, especially with promoting the women and youth trading thing, using the She initiatives. You understand? They've done a whole lot. They've trained a lot of SMEs and help package them for export. So those are the things that is actually really ongoing. And like I said earlier, we need them in clusters, in associations, and that is easy for regulators to work with, not an individual. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, you have a response?
To the point about bilateral agreements and our SMEs holding the shorter end of the stick, I would say just keep doing the right thing. Incidentally, that's the world for you. When you prove yourself, the next time it's easier to get better deals with multinationals. A lot of the things about SMEs are about proving themselves, okay? The multinationals have fear of quality of supply. They have fear of, do you have the capacity? They have fear, all manner of fears. From the standpoint of Zenith Bank, we will give you the necessary recommendation letters that are not cut and paste. We address specifics that in our books we know you've worked with this multinational. It was this digit, and you were able to, we received the payments in your account. And therefore, that can give you the added support. But in general, I'm saying, for starters, it will continue like that. But when you prove yourself multiple times, it's generally easier to get better deals with multinationals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our panelists and our moderator for a very beautiful job. Just a quick one from NBCC Export Group. We have heard all that has been presented and discussions. There are areas of gaps that need to be closed, from policy framework to enhancing of the single window corridors to national master plan on trade, trade development. And a country has to have an ambition of what he wants to do, mostly when it comes to international trade. I think that is lacking. Creation of awareness and creation of educational platforms for international export of products, making sure that it's data-based, people are aware, SMEs are informed, opening up an advocacy platform to allow intergovernment agencies and stakeholders networking like we're doing, and NBCC is serving as a portal for advocacy, and also holding a boot camp that addresses SMEs, and then we're definitely going to bring the banks to it, to let them know how funding can be assessed and conformity of export products can be done, and providing packaging solutions, because those are the few things that denies us access to international market. Then looking into digital and electronic innovation for exports, talking to companies, organizations like Alibaba and the rest of them. E-commerce is springing up in all our in our airports these days, and we want to take advantage of it. Improving on logistics, infrastructure, closing the gap, because it's said about 45% of products produced in Nigeria are lost based on logistics failures, and at the same time it adds 50% on total cost on domestic consumption and about almost 100% on international, making it almost impossible for us to be competitive when it comes to exports. We're also looking at creating of export directory for the chamber, so that you can easily have an access to those who produce and those who have the market. These are some of the few key points I have noted in the beautiful deliberations that was done here. And we look forward to taking it a bit further. Our president, you're here. We will do our reports to you, and then the legwork will be yours. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming very close to the end of this session. Can we please, President, please come for a group picture with our speakers? And also, we can also present the plaques. Thank you. This time, I'm going to put my microphone behind and join in the picture. So it doesn't look like I didn't come. So please, can we step down so that the president and then, yeah, you're going to come back again because you're just about to be president. All right. Our special guest, Honorable Omo Anabo, please come forward to the president of the chamber. The representative of our keynote speaker, Mr. Layton, please step up to receive your. Thank you very much. And our moderator, Mr. Tayo, please come up. So I think we can. Oh, he's in. Dr. Abban Igwe, please come on. We are very grateful. Please, British Airways, can you, representative of British Airways, your thank you plaque, appreciation plaque. Thank you very much. Always. Thank you very much. Any partners representative, please. Yes, another one. Thank you very much. Thank you, partners. British Tobacco, please. British American Tobacco. Can you please come? Representative of the British American Tobacco Fund. Okay. Thank you very much. Madam, thank you for your support and sponsorship. And finally, Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank, please. The representative of Zenith Bank for your sponsorship, Zenith Bank, please. In your best interest. All right, so thank you very much, President. Please, if you can remain for us to have photograph, order of photographs. Yes, please. Okay. The order of photograph, President and the special guests, please. Special guests. Our special guests. Yes, please. Yeah, no, he's over there. He's still over there. Yeah. Mr. Yes.
I want us to put our hands together for a very beautiful session this morning. Can we put our hands together, please? Let me start by appreciating Mr. Fortune Idu and his committee. I think they've done a great job. Please, can we settle down? Can we settle down, please? Can we settle down? They've done a great job, and I think we should put our hands together. This has been well attended and well put together. Let me also say that last week we had a session like this, which was organized by the Logistics Committee of NBCC. And we made a commitment that NBCC will be your partner to the last mile. NBCC will be your partner to the last mile. From that conference, we agreed that the Logistics Committee will submit a memo to ESCO, and NBCC will be organizing the very first National Logistics Summit. I thought you put your hands together. So we'll be organizing the National Logistics Summit. Mr. Fortune, Idu, and your committee, when you do a good job, you get more to do. So we will expect that you will submit a memo to council on this event. And from that memo, we might be signing MOU with FAAN, with FAN. We might be signing an MOU with SAHOL. We might also be signing with NEPC, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. The whole idea is that we will go ahead and organize workshops for them. These are benefits to our members. This will be benefits to our members. So it's not going to be talk. It will be talk and do. And I hope that within the next half of the year, we'll be able to do that so that indeed we can have members of NBCC going ahead to put a leg in the door and taking advantage of the opportunities that exist here. The beautiful thing is that in this house, we have every core competence. 400 members, banks, financial institutions, promoters, traders, SMEs, whatever it is. So we have in this house to be able to take advantage of those opportunities, and that is what we will do. And I know that by God's grace, we will have success stories. I thought you put your hands together. Also, we have a trade center that is in incubation. The whole idea is that inquiries from outside the company will also be incubated here. So we will be able to matchmake and make the best of these opportunities. I think we should put our hands together for NBCC. So on behalf of the chamber, I would like to thank our speakers and our panelists, our moderator, patrons, ESCO, and council members. Can we put our hands together for them? Let me also thank our sponsors. As I mentioned them, please put your hands together for them. Henley and Partners, Zenith Bank PLC, British Airways, British American Tobacco, BAT, and also the Export and British Business Committees for the good job. Let me also thank NBCC HQ staff, the ladies and gentlemen who make all this possible. Please put it together for our DG and all those who work with that. Let me also remind us that we have some upcoming events. The NBCC Members Evening and Induction Ceremony will come up next week, Tuesday, the 28th of April. Please, it will be in the same hall. And indeed, the program, the Global Talent Bridge, is also planned for 11 a.m. on the 30th of April. Agric event, we also have an Agric event for 7th of May. The theme is ensuring food security in Nigeria. That is a very topical issue. Please also note that our facility, this beautiful edifice, is available for you to use for your events for a very small fee. Please feel free to contact us on social media, and I must thank you for being a great audience. We've had almost 4 hours of your day, of your time today. Once again, we thank you. But before we go, I'd like us to do something. Can we all stand, please? British Airways is a premium member of NBCC. British Airways is a good sponsor of NBCC. and British Airways is 90 in Nigeria. Can we say 3 hearty cheers to British Airways? Hip, hip, hip! You won't get free tickets the way you've done this. I assure you. Hip, hip, hip! Remember, this event is recorded. It's only those who do it well that will send free air tickets to. Hip, hip, hip! God bless you and have a good day.